It is time for the Sean O'Connell Show. No Sean O'Connell, but it is Brice and Bianuccj sitting in for one OC. I'm Brice Larson. That's Jordan Bianuccj. James Peterson behind the glass. We want to remind you, you can catch us all morning long into the afternoon over at ESPN700sports.com. Just hit the Listen Live tab, and you can take us on the go wherever you go. Same with that app. Just check out the ESPN 700 app or your smart speaker and tell it to play ESPN 700. Do want to remind you, the Sean O'Connell Show is brought to you proudly by Big Willie's Sports Bar in Salt Lake City. We're back at it once again on a Thursday edition of the program, and it's a jam-packed one. Jordan Bianuccj, how you doing?
I'm feeling good. This is, listen, you don't get more, not only is the show jam-packed, it's a jam-packed day of sporting events. So this is, when we talk about great October days, this is it, man.
Oh, it definitely is. 3 elimination baseball playoff games coming your way throughout the day today. We'll break those down for you a little bit later on in the program. Thursday night football with the Rams and the 49ers. That's a good matchup. I would say it's a good matchup normally, and then you look at the injury report for the 49ers tonight, and you're like, oh, boy, maybe it won't be a very good matchup.
No, it's still, as far as backup quarterbacks go, Mac Jones has played well.
It's true.
That being said, it's not just Mac. It's just not Brock Purdy who's out. It's a litany of Niners.
I saw Ricky Pearsall's out. I saw there is a lot of dudes that have gotten hurt, and once again, more injuries come for the 49ers. This has happened like 3 years in a row, Jordan. What's going on?
I don't know.
Do they need new strength and conditioning staff out there?
That's where I'm headed. I don't know what they're doing. Seriously.
Do they play on natural grass or turf?
Natural grass.
How many away games have they played off the top of your head?
To this year?
Yeah, because
played on turf in Seattle.
Bosa tore his ACL at MetLife.
No, he did, yeah, at first, but then he tore it on grass in Santa Clara. They played it on turf in Seattle, played... Am I missing one?
Kittle injury in Seattle on turf.
That's right. I'm telling you, the NFL's got to do something about turf.
Oh, it's awful. And tonight's on turf too.
Yeah, you got to get off the turf.
No, get rid of it. The Niners, man. Just I don't know. It's like Utah football the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like I don't have an answer.
So we'll go a little bit further into that as we break down Thursday night football for you and more. You'll hear from Kenny Dillingham coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll wake up with Gordy Chiesa this morning. 11:30, we'll talk a little NBA, the ins and outs, and more. At 12:30, we'll welcome in Tom Callahan from the Locked On Mammoth podcast. Hockey's right around the corner, Jordan Bianuccj. And we, dare I say, should have a playoff hockey team here in the state of Utah. That should be the expectation for Utah Mammoth fans.
Yeah, and we'll ask him that because I think it is. It's the perfect start to a new team in a new market. It's just last year you kind of wet the palate. They're there towards the end, but this year, yeah, I think this is the first year maybe they might feel some pressure, honestly.
Well, listen, we talked to Bill Armstrong, the GM of the Utah Mammoth last year. It was actually the day before the draft or the day after the draft. Mm-hmm. And had a good discussion with him, and he said, look, the way that we did it this offseason, yeah, the expectations are the playoffs. So he set those expectations for us. We'll see if Tom Callahan agrees, but it should be playoffs or bust for the Mammoth this upcoming season. And that starts here in just a week.
And we can answer this throughout the show, but are the Mammoth the most intriguing team in the state right now? Do they
professional team
or anybody? Do they beat out like a BYU basketball's intriguing? Utah football this year with Dampier, and that's intriguing. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. They may be.
Maybe. They may be.
Definitely the pro. Yes, absolutely.
Out of all the professionals.
Yeah.
Sports, I mean,
not even close.
Yeah. There's not really a conversation to be had there. But in terms of maybe some football, I don't know. I think football's still king no matter what.
Well, it's most popular, but is it the most intriguing year for?
I agree. I get what you're asking me. I think.
Do you get what I'm asking you?
If we were to put that out there in a poll, just because people love football so much, they'll still be like, nah, football.
No, of course, yes.
So I think it would skew what we're actually trying.
True, but I'm not asking the unwashed masses out there. I'm asking you, and James.
You know what? It might be the most intriguing.
I think it is.
It might be. Although I'm very intrigued to see how Utah finishes this football season.
I am too.
Just because of the new storylines that are popping up.
I think BYU basketball potentially being a top 10 team and Final Four contender. is a lot more intriguing than the Mammoth maybe being the last seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
The last seed in the playoffs.
Okay,
We've got a
third
a
to
guy
last
that doesn't
seed.
believe over here.
Hey, Bill, our producer, you're never going to believe this.
All right, we'll talk with Tom Callahan coming up here at 12:30 to see what's going on with the Utah Mammoth. As I mentioned, DeMarco Farr is going to join us. He's a Rams sideline analyst and a good friend of the Brice and Bianuccj program. You can hear him quite often over on our program in the mornings from 7 to 10 on 103.9 and 98.3 ESPN The Fan. But DeMarco Farr will join us at 1 p.m. to break down tonight's Thursday night matchup between the 49ers and the Rams. All right, so that's your rundown for this morning. Jordan Bianuccj, speaking of football, let's jump over and talk a little bit of Utah football to start this program off today. It's a bye week, but next week, Utah welcomes in ASU. Kenny Dillingham already fielding questions on Utah football. Had a lot of nice things to say. Here's what he had to say about the offensive line unit and more specifically how they're going to try and attack them and what keeps them up at night in terms of that offensive line for Utah.
They're both first-round draft picks. That's a pretty big challenge. They block well. You know, they play offensive tackle, and they're good blockers. Usually don't want to, go versus that. I actually recruited both. I recruited Spencer to Oregon, unbelievable kid, unbelievable family. And, number two, or number one, however you spin it, is from here. We recruited him and tried to flip him my first year here, Lomu. So they're both really good players, both really good families, both really good people. So I kind of wish we got them both. I wish one went to Oregon. I wish the other guy came here. We didn't have to play him, but they're both at Utah, and we get to play 2 first-rounders. I mean, I'd rather go versus an offensive line that's not that good, personally. But it's a great challenge, but I'd much rather go versus me playing left tackle. I would sleep way better at night if, like, me and my brother were playing offensive line. But they've got a really good O-line. They got a really good program, so it's a good challenge for us.
Oh, the kind words of one Kenny Dillingham.
Lulling us into a false sense of security.
Oh, they're so good. They're
too
so
good.
great. How are we going to beat them?
If it were me, I'd put them in the NFC West. That's how damn good they are. Just a lot of nice words.
Kenny Dillingham had a lot of nice things to say right there.
I like Kenny Dillingham.
I really like Kenny Dillingham. We go down to Big 12 Media Days every single year. Kenny Dillingham's the first guy to sit down with me every single year. We continue our conversation from the year prior, and they're always so great. And I asked him about the situation that happened with BYU at the end of the game last year, and he owned up to it, man. And I was like, listen, I don't fault you at all, because he got a lot of guff for that, for yelling and screaming at the referees. He was put all over social media. He was made fun of. He was called out. He said it was not or people said that it wasn't a way that a coach should act. And I told him, look, I appreciated what he was doing, because if I'm a player, I want to play for a dude that's going to fight for me no matter what the situation is. And that's what I saw in Kenny Dillingham. And that's why he's having success right now at ASU with the program that was hit with sanctions when Herm Edwards left. And it was just a mess when he took over, and he's flipped it because he has passion about what he does and he cares for his guys.
Look, whether you think it was an appropriate way to act or not, you need guys like Kenny Dillingham in sports because it's become so corporatized, and these guys have just no personality. That Kenny Dillingham's no, exactly. It's a breath of fresh air when you get a guy that's just not going by the book constantly, not so concerned about his image. And it comes when you interviewed him both times. He's very open, like he's just fun to talk to. He's not keeping things close to the vest. Like it's just it's very difficult to dislike Dillingham.
Yeah, and I let him know. I was like, no, look, there are people out there to appreciate that you step up for your guys and you will stand in for your guys and fight for them because someone's got to do it.
You sucked up to him. That's what you did. You sucked up to him.
If you haven't listened to that interview, you should go back on the Brice and Bianuccj podcast.
If you want to hear big kissing noises.
Oh, Kenny, sit down. You're my favorite coach in the conference. No, you take the nice
all of
chair.
College football, my friend. I will be the first one to throw it out there. Kenny Dillingham, just the way that he coaches.
Kenny, I don't know what you're doing later, but I was thinking about getting some dinner. I don't know if you'd like to join me. On me.
No, listen, if I'm a young college football player, or if I'm a dad of a college football player, there's one coach in all of college football that I want him to go play for. It's Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah.
There's something about him that it makes him able to connect with the players in this age, and he gets the most out of his dudes. There's no reason why Arizona State should have been one of the top teams in the conference last year, except for Cam Scadaboo.
Jordan, if you thought this was a love fest on Kenny Dillingham, Porter and I were waxing poetic about Dan Lanning as well.
All right, there we go. See, I'm not the only one around
so
here.
I mean, I would say they might be the two coaches, at least in west of the Mississippi, that have they have that same kind of thing about him. Obviously, I mean, Dillingham was on Lanning's staff, right, at the end before he got the ASU job. So clearly, Lanning saw something in him that said, "Yeah, I work well with this guy." But I feel similarly about Dan Lanning too. That's a guy that seems to relate really well to the players he's coaching. I think Morgan Scalley has that ability too. Yeah. At Utah as the next head coach in waiting for the University of Utah. But Dan Lanning is the same way I think that you're talking about with Kenny Dillingham. They relate really well. I think that even if it's cheesy, the guys seem to buy in all the time. The whole rooted in substance, not flash.
Yeah.
I thought when I first saw that, I thought a little self-righteous there, Dan Lanning. But then he's shown that he actually believes that he actually holds himself that way, at least in the public persona. And so I bought into that after, since that clip to show that, hey, he's actually consistent about that. And I think that we see a similar thing with Kenny Dillingham. So those might be the two coaches off the top of my head in all of college football that probably get their teams to buy in the best.
Yeah,
right
they're genuine, because if you're not genuine as a college football coach, kids will see through you like that. So, and I think, honestly, it's not great news for Utah, but I think Kalani Sitake is like that too.
Genuine.
Yes. Yeah. Not like Dillingham where he's like super relating to the players, but
and not quite as charismatic as Dillingham and Lanning, but certainly he's got the genuine.
Yes. And the players just seem to really just adore him. But yeah, so I think you do. I think you have Scally, and I think I would throw Sitake, and then Dillingham, Lanning. Absolutely.
You want to go to the other side of the spectrum, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Brian Kelly is a guy that I don't think people really think he's genuine at all. The way that he conducts himself, the way that he, we talk about this quite often. He's our jerk of the week 2 weeks ago because of the way he was acting to a reporter of all people.
Can we get a beef jerky sponsor on that, by the way? Come on.
You don't think you've been trying?
If you're out there, let us know if you want to sponsor
Brice
our jerk of the
Bianuccj
week.
over on the Fan.
Yeah. You can sponsor like maybe a hemorrhoid company, like Preparation H. Yes. Brian Kelly, who I don't think the other portion of it is Saban was genuine, doesn't mean his players really liked him. But it's a different kind of thing. Like, he got his players to perform. I don't think they liked him that much, but he was for whatever it was, he got the best out of them. Who else? This is a good conversation. Who is like Brian Kelly? The least.
Does Dabo fit that role?
I can't figure Dabo out, to be honest with you.
I know. We'll kind of go back and forth on Dabo.
There's times when I think he's refreshingly honest and like fun personality, and then there's other times when I think like what I said about Dan Lanning seeming way too self-righteous in that moment.
Right.
But then winning me over with his consistency and stuff. Dabo's never won me over when he's been way too self-righteous. Like, it's just like, okay, stop. Can we talk about what actually matters in football now? Not
when he's talking about building his program in God's name, image, and likeness instead of NIL money.
Yeah, and we stop talking about what you think are high morals as it relates to football and actually talk about what matters in winning football, please.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Leaving the religiosity part out of it, I do not fault him or anyone else for being outspoken or feeling as deeply about that as Dabo does. It's just like there's other things that are like, okay, that's actually has nothing to do with winning football, but you're saying that because your team are high moral standards, you win games. Like, that's right. You've lost me.
Yeah.
There's ways to go about it, and when you're asked about the name, image, and likeness money in your program, and you go that way, it's a different way. It's not like Spencer Danielson. We don't fault Spencer Danielson up at Boise for being the outspoken guy that he is about his religion. We're fine with that. That's cool.
That's fine. It's annoying, but it's fine.
In the way that you The way that you do it, if you're Dabo Swinney, that's a different conversation.
It's a little too much. Even when it's not religious centered. Which
Sure.
there's so many other examples I could point to. It's like, yeah, just stop.
It's at some point you're like, it's football.
Yeah.
It's we get it. You can have those intertwined to a certain extent, but there does come a point where you're like, it's still it's a game.
There was I'll point out another example. And listen, I'm biased because he was speaking against Ohio State in this sense, but I would have felt this way no matter what. If he was talking about Michigan this way, I'd be like, come on, stop. But with the 2020 season, when the Big Ten only played 7 games, Pac-12 only played 5, but Ohio State won all their games and they made it to the playoff.
Yeah.
And Dabo, before they played each other in the Sugar Bowl that year, and Ohio State just wiped the floor with them, wiped the floor with Clemson in that game. He said he ranked them 11th in his coaches poll, even though they made the playoff as a top 4 team and won the Big Ten and all that. And his line when asked about it was, "It's not hard to do the right thing." So he's implying that because they played less games, because the conference was doing what they thought was right by limiting the schedule, limiting the travel during a pandemic, that a committee put them as one of the top 4 teams in college football. He's implying that the right thing to do is to make them to vote them not even a top 10 team because they didn't play enough games. So that's the stuff where I'm like, just stop, Dabo. But then there's other times when I'm like, I find him like I said, refreshingly honest, and I like Dabo. But then there's so many other times it's like, just stop with your moral high ground.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the best was when the Notre Dame quarterback last year was like, "No, I can't remember his quote. Do you remember? It was like, we're here in the national championship, or if they're, because we pray as a team in the off season. We did we baptized people or something." I'm like, dude, it's football. Take it easy. Just take it down a notch.
So with that being said, Kenny Dillingham,
Colts great quarterback,
bring it all the way
Riley
back
Leonard,
here.
now.
Yeah, Riley Leonard was the guy. If we jump back over to Kenny Dillingham, another piece of audio that I want to play here this morning. Kenny Dillingham, in his press conference this last week, talked about having competitive people in their locker room. And this is another reason why I like him, is because he finds the good in his players as well, but also challenges them to be the most competitive that they can be. This is what he had to say about his locker room and the competitive people in his locker room as well.
I think we have competitive people. I said it after the game. I think when you have competitive people, I think competitive people are used to being in competitive moments. If you have people who are on TikTok all day, right, they're probably not used to being in the biggest, playing a competitive moment and having to be your best all the time. When you have people who, they play these weird, like, Clash of the Clans and all this other stuff now, but they're, like, making decisions in real time at the lunchroom, and I'm like, well, that's better than watching a video, right? At least they want to compete, and they're yelling at each other, they're sitting next to each other. I'm like, what is going on right now? But that's what they do. They don't play card games. They play this. Then some guys play card games during Friday Night 4 games. Competitive people are used to competing. And when you're used to competing, you're used to being in pressure scenarios, so it's really not a pressure scenario because you're used to it. So I just think getting guys that love competing, love competition, and then prepare to be a champion, and you combine those two things, and I think the moment, is a little bit easier for those type of guys because, you're used to it. You're used to being at game point, whether it's on the field in front of an unbelievable fan, an unbelievable crowd, or whether it's at home in your living room. Like, you're used to being in that moment where this is the most important thing.
Bianuccj, are you a player of the Clash of the Clans?
I am not. Boy, I get a hell of a lot of ads for it on YouTube, though. I'll say that. I have never played Clash of the Clans.
I've only played it once or twice, but I didn't really jump on the Clash of the Clans.
Did you compete, though?
I competed.
God damn right. All right.
You know what? If you're at Arizona State, you compete by playing Clash of the Clans. If you're at Colorado, you compete by playing Locker Room Craps.
Oh.
If you don't remember
That's
that,
right,
they got in trouble last year.
Throwing dice.
For putting social media videos out for throwing dice in the locker room.
Throwing dice in the high school bathroom and doing doo-wop like it's 1956, man. That's
playing
hilarious.
craps. So Colorado's got Locker Room Craps going on with money on the floor. Arizona State's running with the Clash of the Clans instead of TikTok dances, which is good for Kenny Dillingham. All right, what's going on here in the state of Utah? I want to know how we're competing out here.
I mean,
how are we competing in the locker room?
Brice, I mean, if you wondered why I would choose you two to fill in for the great Sean O'Connell and when he's on one of his PFL trips, it's we like competitive people around here.
That's right.
At ESPN 792.1 FM as well, and Broadway Media, okay? Like, your competitiveness has stood out to me. I saw you those 2 times playing Clash of the Clans. But you didn't know.
This is why Bear Bachmeyer down at BYU hasn't thrown an interception. He's been playing that Catan game.
He goes and plays Catan after practice.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, ping pong with the boys.
That's right.
And Catan.
And some Catan.
So what's going on up on the hill? How are we competing in this Utah football program?
Next availability.
That's the
I'm
question.
get to the bottom
that better
of this.
be. Yeah,
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
Got to ask Devin Dampier what he does in his off time to be competitive outside of the locker room.
Tune in to next week on Dishing with Devin. No new Dishing with Devin today, but next Thursday we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
All right.
Axis and allies or Risk, Devin? Which one are you competing at?
Which one is it?
Clash of the Clans or a different tower defense game?
All right, Kenny Dillingham talking about having competitive people in the locker room. Isn't it crazy how much things have shifted with the internet age of things? You know, we were just talking about what dudes used to do. I mean, you know, whatever it is. But now they're playing Clash of Clans to be not necessarily to be competitive, but he said it's better than doing TikTok dances. If you're a coach and you're having to deal with this stuff, you can kind of imagine why Nick Saban was like, yeah, I'm going to dip out of here. I'm not coaching these guys anymore.
Well, I know in pro sports, it's always been cards and dominoes on the plane or the train way back when, whatever.
Yeah, you watch The Last Dance. There's like so much footage of Jordan playing cards on the plane or in the
not
locker.
only that, going out and golfing and putting money on the line.
Talk about always being competitive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So they know cards have been part. I mean, since the 1800s, guys been playing cards in between games. I don't know about college though. They used to do homework, not so much anymore. But
you don't think they're going to class?
I don't think. Well,
right. They're getting competitive with their grades.
Exactly. I don't think they're competing. They're going
in
like,
the classroom?
Yeah, read my essay. We'll see how persuasive yours is.
Okay.
I don't think that's what they're competing at.
No chance.
We knew that the literature major was going to come out at some point.
That's right. That's the English
that's
major.
right.
English major.
The English major coming
Talk
out
about
in
essays.
The pretentious, you're all a bunch of dummies coming out.
So Utah will host Arizona State coming up next week. 8:15 p.m. start on ESPN under the lights. You like the 8:15 p.m. starts for these late ones, right? Rice-Eccles kickoffs with good atmosphere in the stadium now.
It's fun. I don't mind a couple. If you're going to go 8:15, I like September when it's hot. But I've said my ideal kickoff time is like a 3:30.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love a 3:30 kickoff. Sunshine, but it's not, the sun, you get it cooling down towards the end.
All right.
That's me.
I like the 8:15 kickoff. I like the atmosphere. I like the way that Rice-Eccles gets rocking, and it's going to be a good atmosphere for that Arizona State football game coming up. 8:15 p.m. start on ESPN as Kenny Dillingham brings his troops into Salt Lake City. All right, that's a little bit of talk on what's happening around the college football world. Some sound from Kenny Dillingham and more. We've got Major League Baseball talk coming your way coming up in just a little bit. But Jordan, the best thing you saw yesterday in terms of Major League Baseball, give us a little bit of a hint of what we're going to be talking about coming up. I know there was an incident in the Red Sox-Yankees game yesterday with a guy at third base that didn't turn home.
There were, we'll touch on Tigers. We'll touch on all of them, all the games. But that Red Sox game we have to get into because there were various turning points in that game. 3 lead changes and just little. That game was what in a lot of ways. It wasn't as clean as you'd like, but in a lot of ways, it was what you want postseason baseball to be because there were so many little things. We were talking, James and I, before the show, just tiny little things that decided that game. So a lot to get into there.
And unfortunately, more of the little things went against the Red Sox than they did the Yankees.
Yes.
That is true.
But it's going to be different tonight, guys. Come on now. Let's go.
It sets up a nice Game 3 elimination game.
Listen, it does. And let's be honest, the Yankees are more than capable of making crucial mistakes at crucial times.
So you'll have Tigers and Guardians at 1 today. You'll have the Padres and Cubs at 3. The Padres got a big 3-0 win yesterday over the Cubs. Then you'll have the Yankees and the Red Sox for the nightcap tonight at 6 p.m. A lot of baseball, and we'll get you ready for it throughout the afternoon.
Win or go home, baby. Win or go home.
Here we go. Coming up next, our friend Gordy Chiesa stops by. We'll talk a little bit about the Utah Jazz and more. That's here in just a couple of minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show. I want to remind you that the Sean O'Connell Show is now brought to you proudly by Big Willie's Sports Bar in Salt Lake. From craft food to craft cocktails, they are the sports bar. Check them out today at 1717 South Main Street. Our friend Gordy Chiesa comes up next right here on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Well, we're glad to have Gordy Chiesa join us here in this segment to make up for our lack of knowledge around the National Basketball Association that myself, Brice Larson, and Jordan Bianuccj don't have. So we'll get out to the ESPN 700 hotline. We'll welcome in one Gordy Chiesa. Gordy, it's been quite the couple of last weeks here with some off-season news. How are things going for you?
Brice and Jordan, it's going well, thank you. And you're right about off-season news. And the first thing would be about the Golden State Warriors, how those guys had an off-season where they did a good job as far as their roster, and it finally came into fruition with the signing of Jonathan Kuminga. They're really talented fourth year player that's really going to help them. However, it got messy in negotiations.
Gordy, sticking with the Warriors, they signed Kuminga, they signed Al Horford. What does their depth at center look like now? Because last year it was thin, to say the least.
Well, Al Horford should be the starter, and they could switch over Draymond Green at least some of the time. And then the third backup would be Quentin Post, this young guy who's a second-year player from Boston College who's a good three-point shooter. Now, Al Horford gives them another range shooter, savvy defensive player. At age 38 right now, he's on the downside of his career. However, he's the perfect fit for them where he can execute. They trust him offensively, and he's a good position defensive player. So he'll add to the group as far as everything. Steph Curry is the main guy. So is Jimmy Butler, and so is Draymond Green. And Moses Moody is very underrated. And Brandon Pajinski is going to help them as far as everything. And then knockdown shooter Buddy Hield, and then Gary Payton the second, who's a good defensive player. So the Warriors, they are still a good team. And Steph Curry is an amazing player. He's the whole reason why the Warriors are so good for the last basically 15 years.
Gordy, I've heard a lot of talk in the last couple of days, even weeks, about one Walker Kessler and the Los Angeles Lakers. Have the Lakers done anything this offseason to help out their center spot that a lot of people are talking about and connecting Walker Kessler with the Lakers too? And is there any good news for Jazz fans that might make us feel a little bit better about the Walker Kessler situation here in Utah?
Well, the Lakers, their only talking in the summer was they're trying to trade for Walker Kessler. However, that's been now stopped because they did sign DeAndre Ayton. And so Ayton will be the starting center with Jackson Hayes being the backup and a Maxi Kleber, who's a good all-around big guy, inside, outside, outside, inside. So that's the center position. Now, Walker Kessler is a huge part of the Jazz. That he is homegrown. He's a good player. He's offensively challenged right now, so he's got to fast-track his development as far as being able to score the ball on his own versus needing help. So as we call it, he's a recipient scorer, where when people penetrate or broken plays, he can finish, usually a lob pass on short corner spacing. However, as the Jazz go forward, hopefully in the playoffs someday, is that he's got to be able to score the ball. And that's what he's not done consistently. However, with that said, though, the Jazz are going to try to re-sign him. I'm sure if not between now and October 31st, it'll be next, hopefully July, where they have much more flexibility. He's worth roughly in this market, generally speaking, between $25 to $28 million a year. The Jazz can give him 4 years. We'll say let's average out to say 25 to 28 million on an average, and that's what he should get.
Gordy Chiesa is here with us on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Gordy, one question that I have about the Jazz is they were pretty bad on the defensive side of the basketball last year. What should our expectations as fans be for this Jazz franchise this upcoming season in terms of improvement on the defensive side of the basketball?
One, effort. It sounds so simple saying it. Just by playing harder, you'll win an NBA season because of the rigors of travel. If you play harder than the opposition, you'll win 2 to 4 more games. Now, it sounds so trivial, but it's huge, especially when you're a good team trying to get a different seeding in a playoffs or trying to improve yourself to get to the playoffs. In Jazz basketball, like all teams, the ability to guard the ball. In other words, the Jazz, unfortunately, last year had a difficult time of everybody guarding the ball, where even lesser talented players would go by the Jazz off the dribble and compromise the defense, and then they relied on Walker Kessler to try to block some shots. And yesterday, it was Rudy Gobert, where the Jazz also had problems guarding the ball to the extreme, and then Rudy Gobert, to his credit, would block shots. Now it's Kessler. All right, how do you guard the ball? Just quickly, I'll give you a layman's term. One, besides effort, you've got to be in a stance. It sounds so elementary, just like you play pickup games. Oh, by the way, you please bend your knees on defense. Two, we call it cushion, where we call it press up near the guy and then back off a slight step to cushion the stance, to move your feet to stay in front of it. And the third thing is that in screening action, do not be a dish rag, meaning this. The second someone screens you, do not fall down like you want to be in Hollywood as an actor. You've got to navigate the screen either over or under by lowering your shoulder. This is just simple fundamentals that the Jazz have to try to improve on dramatically, the whole roster. And the way to do that is by technique. There's nothing better than technique. It's everything. Whether it's the NFL, if you're a D-back in the NFL or safety, you need technique. If you're a lineman in the NFL, you need technique. In basketball, you need technique on both sides of the ball. That's how you improve.
Let's talk about improvements across the entire NBA in the offseason. Guys that were rookies last year that were impressive, that need to make an improvement and a step forward in year number 2. One guy that I loved to watch before he got injured last year was Jared McCain in Philadelphia. What do guys need to work on, and what's the biggest improvement from year 1 as a rookie to year 2 as a sophomore, and things that they need to improve on in the offseason?
Well, most times, motivated NBA players, they make a huge jump between their rookie season to year 2 and from year 2 to year 3. And so these, I'll call them these talents, what they do, they grasp better, one, the game speed. The NBA game is absolutely fast. It's laser, and you've got to be able to play on both sides of the ball. The second thing is that the improvement will be shot selecting. So when you're in college or your rookie season, you don't understand the magnitude. Oh, I feel like shooting the ball because it's my turn. Says who? Says the player who thinks that way. And then on good teams is that they realize that shot selection is huge, because shot selection, besides going in, it compromises your defense by taking so many crazy shots. You can't get back defend the goal. The third thing is that less dribbling. Usually speaking, now I'm going to paint the canvas with one broad stroke. Most players, including you guys play pickup games, over dribble. And so from year 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, the improvement is going to be less dribbling. And the fourth thing is that the players realize about help defense is that besides being in your own stance, which would be encouraging, is that you've got to be able to be called help the helper. And so they're more alert of playing help defense and recovering. And the last thing, which determines so many, especially road games, is the low shot clock execution. Up 1, what are you going to do? Down 3 with 47 seconds left, what's our defense? With 4 seconds left, are we going to switch? Are we going to play straight up? These are all things that the players get better in that situation quickly in Jazz basketball. So from year 1 to year 2, Isaiah Collier, Cody Williams, and Cal Filipowski, they've got to improve those 5 areas. And year 2 to 3, which is absolutely critical, Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, and Brice Sensabaugh. These guys got to improve. So especially Keontae George. He's got to get better at what? Game speed. Sometimes out of control. Definitely shot selection. 3, definitely less dribbling. 4, be more active, help defending. And 5, executing what? Low shot clock situations. And that's how you improve. So a lot of times people think you improve by getting new players. That's part of the mix. But also you improve by internally, by emphasizing an accountability of these 5 different things. It sounds so simple. It's absolutely hard.
Another Utah connection, former Utah head coach Quinn Snyder, now down in Atlanta, has a guy in Zachary Risache, who was a rookie last year trying to make another jump here for the Hawks this season. And it seemed like they went out and made a couple of different moves. What do you think about Quinn Snyder's position this offseason, heading into this season? And do you think Atlanta's going to be a team in the East that can make a run in the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I do. The answer is yes. They've gotten better. They also added a former Jazz player who we all liked. Alexander Walker was the guy that played for the Jazz for 2 years, from 2021 to 23. He played only 51 games, but he played last year for the T-Wolves. He's good. He's a good defensive player and a timely shooter. And he also added Luke Kennard, who's also a knockdown shooter. So you got a guy that can play defense and score the ball, and a guy that can really make a knockdown shot. You mentioned before about Zachary, as far as Risache, is that he's a young Frenchman and he's very good. He was the first pick of the draft in 2024 via France, and he's got game. So the Hawks, though, it's that elephant in the room called Trae Young. Is that as good as he is as far as a talent, and he is, and he does a lot of good things, often he over-dribbles, and sometimes he takes crazy shots and also doesn't defend his position. And so he's got to get better at that to help their team. Also, they added Kristaps Porzingis, who's from the Celtics, who's a good shot blocker and a range shooter. So they should be better. Last year, the Hawks were 40-42, and they lost both home games in the play-in tournament. They lost to the Magic and lost to the Heat. But in their world, they think they can get to the top 6.
Gordy, we have the Jazz and the Rockets coming up next week in the preseason. From a coaching perspective, what were you looking for in preseason games from players?
Execution. Here's the question philosophically. How can a player showcase their individual talents within the team game? And I'll pause for add to that. Just think about that. Hey, I'm a good player. I'm 22 years old. I was a hot shot in college. How dare you not draft me, the NBA? And now I'm in training camp, and I'm playing my first few games, in the preseason. And, I have a David Stern story, the former great commissioner. One time I heard at a press conference, one of the media people said about David Stern about how do you feel about exhibition games? And then David Stern said very, very sternly, on a play on words, said there's no exhibition games in the NBA. The Globetrotters do that. Our games are called preseason games as a reference point. So in preseason games I'm looking for execution, intensity, shot making, and just generally speaking that these guys play to win. And how can I showcase my own skills within the team game? That's how you do it.
All right, Gordy, give us the list for this Thursday, October the 2nd. What do you got for us here?
October 2nd. I love it. All right, this list is the NBA career regular season triple-double game leaders, career-wise. So how many triple-doubles does a player have for his career? And I broke it down only to 10. And many of them are in the NBA as we speak right now. Many of these guys are either in the Hall of Fame or going to the Hall of Fame. So let's right now clarify, what's a triple-double? A triple-double is recorded when a player registers 10 or more in 3 of the following 5 game categories. They are 1, points, 2, assist, 3, rebounds, 4, steals, and 5 block shots. Prior to the 1973-74 season, the NBA did not officially record steals and block shots. So we never know how many block shots Bill Russell had in Wilt. We never know that. And I can trust me when I say this. These guys blocked a whole bunch of them. So that's unfortunate for those guys. but more importantly, in the present tense, here's a top 10 list. Number 10 all-time in career triple-doubles is Domantas Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings right now with 68. Number 9, Wilt Chamberlain did it 78 times, not knowing his block shot total. Number 8 all-time, James Harden has 80 career triple-double games. Number 7, Luka Doncic has 82 career triple-double games. Number 6, he's the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, Jason Kidd, with 107 triple-double games. Number 5, he plays for the Lakers, if not the greatest NBA player, certainly the second greatest of all time, LeBron James, with 122 career triple-doubles. Number 4, he did it with a smile, Magic Johnson, 4th all-time with 138 career triple-doubles. Number 3, this guy we all love, he's the Jazz arch rival, but we all still love him, Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, has 164 triple-doubles, and trust me, counting. Number 2 all-time, one of the greatest players ever to play the game in yesteryear, Oscar Robertson did it 181 times, and the number 1 player in history of basketball with the most triple-doubles. He's a lightning rod. You either love him or you dislike him. Russell Westbrook with 203 career triple-doubles. What about in Jazz basketball? The leader all-time in career triple-doubles is Pete Maravich with only 7 games ever doing it.
Wow.
And then John Stockton never had a triple-double in his career for 19 years, 1,504 games. John never had a triple-double. He did have one in a playoff game back in 2000 against the Dallas Mavericks. That's how hard it is to get a triple-double. So if Jokic is getting right now 164 and counting, that just shows you what a great player he is. Thus, that's my list of today.
I'm surprised LeBron James only came in at number 5 on that list. I thought that you'd have more.
122. Yeah, 120. It's hard, which means that you're versatile, that you can pass, you can rebound, you can block shots, you can score the ball, you can steal the ball, but can you do it all at the exact same time?
Exactly. Hey, Gordy, thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate you jumping on with us.
Thanks, guys. Peace out.
That is Gordy Chiesa right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. And Jordan Bianuccj, I think the passing portion of LeBron's game is what's keeping him back a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a great passer is the thing. He's a very.
All right, come on. You didn't like the jab at LeBron?
No, I mean, he's
You're
a
going
great.
to defend him on this radio station in the state of Utah?
I am going to defend him a little bit.
Right, get out of here.
LeBron's a great passer.
Get this guy off Utah radio
By the way,
airwaves.
I'm really proud of myself. I didn't have a dang clue how far what the distance of the 3-point line was when Gordy asked us. I could have named the top 3 there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm real.
The only 2 that came into my mind when he brought up the list was Westbrook and Harden.
I thought Westbrook. I knew Oscar Robertson, and the other one, which was now
Jokic.
Yeah.
Jokic did not pop into my mind, which is
it's every damn night.
an indictment to me.
Oh man, it's
in my
every
NBA watching abilities.
That dude's incredible. You know what I love about Jokic? He looks like he should be working on a farm in Serbia or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he should just be like hanging out with his ponies that he loves.
Yeah.
The dude is so like it's not like LeBron where you're like that's an athletic specimen.
Right.
It's just incredible.
Put him on a statue.
Yeah.
No.
Jokic is just so crafty and fundamentally sound. It's amazing.
He looks like your uncle that just happens to be 6'11".
Exactly.
All right, we'll take a break here. Coming up next on the Sean O'Connell Show, we'll wrap up the first hour of the program. The latest news around the world of sports, maybe some Major League Baseball talk. That all comes your way next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, back at it on the Sean O'Connell Show. Sean will be back on Monday. Take you through a game week for Utah football as they get ready for Arizona State next week. It's a bye week. We'll keep you up to date with all the bye week news as it pertains to Kyle Whittingham and the Utes. We'll also get into some Major League Baseball talk here in this segment with the Major League Baseball playoffs going on right now. Just a reminder, I'm Brice Larson. That's Jordan Bianuccj, and we're sitting in for the great OC. If you like us, if you want more of us, you can find us over on the Brothers Station, 103.9, 98.3 FM up and down the Wasatch Front. We're on from 7 to 10 every single morning on ESPN The Fan. So you can come and join us over there. A lot of Utah football talk, a lot of sports across the board, whether it is Major League Baseball, we do a lot of that too, or college football in general. You can join us in the mornings for some live and local sports talk over on 103.9 and 98.3 FM.
Ghost stories. We had some good ghost stories the other day.
Spooky season is about us in the month of October.
Yeah. Ooh, we got a good one. If you got a good ghost story, send us a text because we got a damn good one the other day. It's scary
Yes,
as hell.
Very scary. Jordan, let's jump into Major League Baseball, though. The playoffs are underway. A lot of games, a lot of series that are going to Game 3. The Guardians win 6-1 yesterday. They push it to Game 3 in Cleveland. The Padres get a 3-0 lead, or a 3-0 win, excuse me. They push it to a Game 3 in Chicago. And then the Yankees stave off elimination with a 4-3 win in what was an exciting game to push it to Game 3. And the Dodgers get it done, although their bullpen really made it tough on them. And the door was open for a while. The Reds just aren't good enough to close the gap, but they won 8-4, and they win the series yesterday.
Yeah, look, if you're a Dodger fan, that's why you worry about going up against a better team like the Phillies with offensive firepower. Was that those first two games, the bullpen wasn't great. So that's something interesting to watch. The Guardians.
The other thing I wanted to point out about the Dodgers is that in the postgame, Dave Roberts mentioned that Shohei Ohtani is going to be the starter in Game 1 of the next series.
Yeah. How long do you let him go is the question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So you have to if I'm Dave Roberts.
Is he a starter or an opener, Jordan?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Exactly. Could
right.
he just be a 2-inning guy when a bullpen guy opens a game, or is he a guy that's going to go at least 4? It used to be you count on a starter for 5.
Are we talking
4.
in terms of we're worried about him getting injured? We don't want to have him throw, or you want to save him for later on in the series? What's the conversation?
I think it's terms of injury. It's he's coming back from Tommy John. We didn't see him throw more than 5 innings. I want to say 4 innings during the regular season. But I assume if they're starting him in the playoffs, it means he can go 6 or 7, especially considering their bullpen. Because we had been talking about what Ohtani had hinted at was that I may be used out of the bullpen, which made sense. I thought that made sense.
Yeah, maybe some long relief in certain situations.
Yeah, exactly.
That actually makes more sense than putting him out there for 4 innings to start and then turn it over to a bullpen that's not great.
Exactly.
I would rather have a starter out there on the mound, and then when he runs into problems in the 4th, you pull him and put in Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, he'll give you 4 more.
Well, exactly. Yeah, give him starter goes 5 or 6. Throw in Ohtani and just let him finish the game if he can. I know it's weird. He doesn't come out of the bullpen, but Ohtani, I just don't worry about him with stuff like that.
You remember? Yeah, of course you remember this. Big Giants fan over here. Madison Bumgarner is 5 innings save against the Royals in Game 7 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about. The way you can use a Shohei Ohtani. If you're not concerned about his elbow that he just had Tommy John surgery on.
Yeah.
Actually, we see that. You and I call college baseball on ESPN Plus together. We actually see that a lot in college baseball, where they'll bring in a starter that pitched in one of the other games in the back end of the bullpen just to close it out.
Oh, in playoff situation, yeah. You saw it last year in Game 5 of the World Series. You bring in Walker Buehler to finish it out.
Yeah.
Finish it out. The difference between Ohtani and these other examples, though, is what we're talking about. Coming off Tommy John, they have not pushed him hard in the regular season. So, Bumgarner was superhuman in 2014 against the Royals. He had started, 2 or 3 games, didn't give up a run, and then they brought him in Game 7. The greatest story about that, by the way, is the Royals. That was in Kansas City, and the Royals behind the Giants dugout are chanting, "We want Bumgarner. Well, we want Bumgarner." One of the Giants third base coach yells at the crowd, "You got him, MFers," and he comes in and just shuts them down.
That was one of the most incredible things I've seen in a do or die championship situation. And I don't like that used to happen in the 70s. You got closers go for 3 innings or whatever. That's the first time I've seen a guy stay in the game that long coming out of the bullpen, whether he's a starter coming out of the bullpen that day or a closer or whatever. And it's still one of the most incredible things I've seen in a Game 7 in a championship clinching situation.
On 2 or 3 days rest, too. He had thrown a complete game shutout.
Yeah.
It was just, that was phenomenal. So I think you can use Shohei like that to a certain degree, but not you. If you're Roberts or those guys, you just can't, rely on him for 5 innings of, or maybe, like 6 innings of relief. I don't know, especially if you're going to start him. So it's interesting that they decided to start him.
Aaron Boone managing for his job tonight. If they lose, does Aaron Boone get fired by the Yankees?
I would say yes. I think he does. Last night was interesting because Boone, what did we talk about the day before? It was, what is Aaron Boone doing? Leave in Max Fried. You're yanking the lefty that's been really good, and you're bringing in Weaver, who has a 5 ERA in the second half of the season or whatever it is, and we're just killing him. So last night he goes, fine. You know what? Forget you people. I'm leaving Rodon in.
Yeah.
He's struggling, but I don't like my bullpen. I'm sick of getting ripped in the post. I'm leaving him in. So they leave him in for the 7th inning after he's obviously tiring in the 6th. First 2 guys he faces, he can't throw a strike. So that was the inning where that top of the 7th, it could have completely changed. But the Red Sox just couldn't take advantage on a bad throw from Chisholm in the dirt. You have Eaton rounding third. They could have taken the lead there. And Eaton didn't either pick up the third base coach or just didn't. Obviously didn't realize the ball got away from Goldschmidt at first.
But after the game, he said that the third base coach didn't send him.
That's what he said. He said that I picked up the third base coach and he gave me the stop sign.
Ooh.
And so we should go back and look at the video because I think he's right. Because you're running to third base. You can't see. You're not looking behind you at first base to see if a guy throws a ball in the dirt.
Exactly.
So, that cost the Red Sox. I'll ask James, what was the bigger play? That Eaton not scoring there or Duran dropping that, what is a fairly routine play in left?
For me, it's Duran not catching that ball. I wouldn't, because he didn't really drop it. It hit off the bottom of his glove. But not securing that catch was the bigger play for me because I have a hard time blaming Eaton in that situation for not taking what would have been, from his perspective, a huge risk. Even though he's quick enough to score on that if he had realized that the ball had got away. And so it's not really as big a risk for us when we can see everything. But from his perspective, that's a huge risk. Was there 2 outs already? Yeah. You got Story coming up with the bases loaded, who was amazing last night up to that point, and he was 5 feet away from a grand slam there. It hit it dead center, and the Cruz loses his mind after that. But anyway, I would say Duran earlier in the game that gave the Yankees the lead back after they fought back to tie it at 2, and they tired Rodon. It felt like all the momentum was on the Red Sox side. Duran not securing that catch. I mean, it doesn't matter. At that point, it doesn't matter. If he makes that catch, it doesn't matter that you miss out a chance to take the lead with that. Some people calling base running error by Eaton. I think that's a little harsh. And then Chisholm's run ends up being the tying run instead of the game-winning run.
Yeah.
The other thing that I second guess is Whitlock was obviously tired after getting that second out. You got to get someone else in there. Maybe you don't want Chapman to do 4-out save 2 nights in a row. Okay, you got other arms out there. Let's just finish the inning, then go to Chapman in the 9th. You don't have to go to your closer with 2 outs in the 8th inning, Alex Cora. You don't have to. And Weisert's been really good for them in the pen. That's a guy I might have said, hey, get us 1 out.
Yeah.
And Whitlock ended up, he was great for an inning and 2/3, and then he obviously tired out. Speaking of Boone leaving Rodon maybe in a little bit too long, I think Cora did the same thing with his second best bullpen guy, who was awesome up to that point, but he didn't have it anymore. Yeah. And that's what probably led to Chisholm's game-winning run. So Those are the two things I would say are bigger deal than Eaton not going to home.
I'm with you. I think the other thing that baffled me was, I think it was Rafael with runners on first and second and nobody out. They have him lay down a bunt. Which
Yeah, that was tough.
Bunting in Major League Baseball, that's quite a thing of the past, isn't it?
Well, it's come back the last couple of years, which is really interesting. But now with the Red Sox, like the two things I had an issue with. You need a run there. So if you have a guy that can lay down a bunt and get it done, fine. And you have somebody coming up from
But
behind
obviously
him.
you didn't.
But first of all, if you're Rafaela, he has the back, he's not squared around.
Yeah.
So already he waits until the pitcher's in his motion and then just square around. That makes it so much more difficult. I know you have a dude crashing from first, so you don't want to give it away too early, but just square around. And so instead he's waiting, squares around at the last minute, pops it up. It's a wasted out. It's a gift for the Yankees.
I don't think Major League Baseball players know how to bunt anymore.
Well, Boston...
Nobody teaches it.
No, the Red Sox don't. Some teams do.
There's only some college teams that still do it, and it's like Cal Poly, Jordan.
Yeah.
It's Cal Poly because their coach is still like 90 years old.
No, it's the way... No, you know what it is? The West Coast in baseball absolutely knows how to bunt.
Yeah.
It's just that the culture... It's part
Not
of it.
here in Utah, baby.
No,
we hit bombs.
Well, yeah, why would you bunt here in Utah? But some teams can do it. You watch the Blue Jays; they put the ball in play. They'll be able to bunt. The famous last words. But the Guardians, I think, can lay down some bunts. Maybe
I'm in favor of a bunt. Look, I'm a bunting man. I always talk about how much I love bunting
love
and
bunts.
moving the runners around. In Major
4th
League
of
Baseball,
July is his favorite holiday because of
Right,
all the
loves
bunting.
bunting.
You literally have one scenario where I think it's good to bunt in Major League Baseball because you have such great hitters. And it's in extra innings when you have a guy on second base automatically, and you move him over if you're the second team that had, and the first team didn't score.
if you're the home team, yeah, absolutely, and that won't exist in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but no, if you haven't been bunting all year, in that situation, it's hard to. I don't love that call. The other thing, watching that game that occurred to me, we're talking about all these mistakes. There's a reason these two teams did not win the division. They don't look sharp. They just don't look great at times. So I don't know. I mean, either of these teams can beat the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are a much better fundamental team than these two teams.
All right.
How dare you?
We need to wrap up this segment. So coming up next, I've got some news on the mayor of Sac Lake City. There's a national award watch out for one John Henry Daly. I'll tell you exactly what that is, plus a preview of Thursday night football coming your way. In our Daily Dump segment, we'll bring you the top headlines around the world of sports, and we'll tell you about those Major League Baseball times and who's on the mound as well. That's all coming up next right here on ESPN 792.1 FM, a proud part of Utah's ESPN radio network. All right, hour number 2, the Sean O'Connell Show this afternoon. Appreciate you being along for the ride with us at ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Do want to remind you, you can check out the show after the fact. Just search up the Sean O'Connell Show wherever you get great podcasts. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, wherever it is. Just search it up, the Sean O'Connell Show, and you can take it on the go wherever you go. We're jumping into the Daily Dump, the top news lines across the world of sports here on the Sean O'Connell Show. And Jordan Bianuccj, I want to start off, I teased it before we went to break there, but John Henry Daly, the mayor of Sac Lake City, currently on the Chuck Bednarik Award watch list for the most outstanding defensive player in college football. Started off the season as the top sack leader in the country, and he's been fantastic for that Utah defensive line. One of the reasons why they've been able just to rush 4 in the first couple of games and get after the quarterback.
Best player on the team, right? Barton. I mean, the best so far this year. Who's been better?
You make a good argument.
Yeah, Devin Dampier's been good. Not as good as John Henry Daly.
Yeah.
So Fano's been good. He had a rough game against Texas Tech. Daly has not had a rough game at all, though. So I think that he hasn't had a down game. You might have wanted.
Fano was dealing with an injury, though, right?
Logan Fano, I think.
Yeah.
Was. Okay. But Spencer Fano.
I'm
sorry. Yeah. On the offensive line has been. You could argue he's been Utah's best player, which was going into the season. That was what he's projected to be. But I mean, he and the entire offensive line had a bad game against Texas Tech, including that awful penalty that he had that took away the Benny's touchdown. John Henry Daly, the argument against for him being even better than Spencer Fano has been is that he hasn't really had an off game. The only thing I think we all might have expected a little bit more. Sack production against West Virginia, but he's still got a half a sack against West Virginia. So, I mean, he's been on it every game. Fano, it's been all but maybe one game. So,
well, not only that, but now opposing offenses are keying on John Henry Daly, doubling him up to try and slow him down. He's still getting into the backfield, which makes it even more impressive. So, yeah, I would think that your argument that he's been the best player for Utah so far this season, by far and away, probably the guy this year. All right, Rams and 49ers tonight, Thursday night football. The national broadcast you can hear right here on ESPN 792.1 FM via Westwood 1. And then, of course, the Rams home broadcast is over on our station, 103.9 and 98.3 FM, the home of the LA Rams here in the state of Utah. It's ESPN The Fan. So, Jordan Bianuccj, we'll talk with DeMarco Farr about this coming up a little bit later, but boy, are the 49ers beat up. No Brock Purdy once again.
No Brock Purdy, no Ricky Pearsall, no George Kittle, no. I know I'm leaving other guys out too. I don't even know. I didn't even check. Jawan Jennings might be out as well. If the Rams don't win this game, it's not panic time. But if you're the Rams, you're just like, if we can't win, if we can't beat the Niners tonight, when can we beat the Niners?
And in the last couple of years, really. The Rams have struggled against the Niners.
Oh, yeah. In the regular season, the Niners have dominated the Rams. Mac Jones, listen, to be fair, Mac Jones is not your average backup quarterback. I think he'll play pretty well. But
you're a Mac Jones fan over here, huh?
Well, he's not. He's better.
Here's our conversation, though, that we always go back to. Is it the backup quarterback and the way that he has the ability to play, or what's more important, the quarterback himself or the coach that puts him in those spots? Because look at what O'Connell's done over in Minnesota with his backup quarterbacks. Sam Darnold was winning football games, and then you put in Carson Wentz now, and they scored almost 40 points a couple weeks ago.
Well, it's the coach. That's why Mac Jones wanted to come to San Francisco. That's why Sam Darnold got a great deal after he left San Francisco as a backup quarterback and was awful in New York. So, So what I'm saying is, Mac Jones gives you a chance to win. Like he played well against the Cardinals. So, but that being said, like the Rams are a better team than the Cardinals, and it's a short week. This is a game the Rams need to win.
Puka Nacua's been phenomenal, the best wide receiver in the NFL through the first couple of weeks, and he's the highest graded offensive player by PFF so far through the first couple of weeks of the NFL as well. you've got two of the highest rated players by PFF in this game. One Fred Warner on the defensive side, and one Puka Nacua on the offensive side. I would expect Puka Nacua once again to have a big night tonight on Thursday Night Football in front of the nation.
Oh yeah, well, and the Niners don't have Bosa on that defensive line, so we'll see how much pressure they can get if Stafford can sit back there comfortably and find his guys.
No
By
doubt
the
about
way,
it.
Jordan, I was talking about this with Porter. Did you see how close Fred Warner was to forcing a fumble in against victory formation against the Jaguars yesterday, flying over the offensive line? He got his hand on the ball before the guy's knee went down.
Yes.
Before Lawrence's knee went down. Just a freak athlete still, Fred Warner is. And so if that's all you got a chance defensively to hold a really good offense like the Rams. A small chance, but you still got a chance because you got that guy on the other side who's not injured.
You do. and I should mention, speaking of injuries, even Mac Jones isn't healthy. He's going to have a brace on his left knee. He was like limping up and down the field in the fourth quarter against the Cardinals. So it's just everybody it's Niners just decimated right now.
I just want to go back to
Remarkable that they're 3-1.
It
Sorry,
really
Bruce.
is. It is.
I want to go back to the Puka Nacua conversation because these stats are ridiculous. If you take a look at his stats, 503 yards receiving so far this year. The next closest is Jackson Smith-Njigba with 402. That's 101 yards more. If you look at the targets and the receptions, Jackson Smith-Njigba has 34 targets, 26 receptions, the second leading receiver in the NFL. Puka Nacua has 50 targets and 42 receptions on 50 targets. He's only missed 8 of those. Some of them were overthrown. I don't know how many he's dropped in those. But 42 receptions. Jackson Smith-Njigba only has 26 receptions, which is impressive by him. That's a high average of yardage that he could get, yards after catch.
It is.
By Smith-Njigba. But that's impressive. 50 targets and 42 receptions. Only 8 of them have not been completed.
Yeah. The big question is, can he stay healthy?
Can he stay healthy? That's the big question for the L.A. Rams. They've got a good run game with Kyron Williams. Seems like everything's working really well. There's a question about the back injury for Matthew Stafford in the early going. He's looked to manage it well. We'll see if they can keep it going. They look like a good football team this year. The Rams do. All right, let's jump over to a different news story here this morning. Duke is extending John Shire through the 2030-2031 season. That coming down just a couple of minutes ago. Duke has been okay, but not great under John Shire. It's interesting how the transfer portal and the NIL era of college athletics has shaken up the powers in college football and college basketball.
Yeah, college football not as much, but college basketball.
All it takes is a couple, maybe one guy.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, has it shaken up? Because Duke is still good.
They're good, but
they're not dominant. But also, I would argue Duke hasn't been dominant in a long time.
Yeah. North Carolina's been good, but they're not dominant.
No.
Yeah, Carolina's been worse than Duke has in that stretch, other than that miracle Final Four championship game season they had, now 3 years ago. Duke's been at a higher level post-Krzyzewski than Carolina's been post-Roy Williams. I mean, Duke. Here's the thing. Duke was up double digits against Houston in the second half of the national semifinal. They were this close to being in the championship game, and who knows, maybe they end up beating Florida. I'm not sure that happens. Florida was just on a roll. But this is a timely extension from John Shire's perspective. He had a lot of ammo to say, hey, look what we just did. We had some unlucky breaks and some questionable decisions where we blew the lead at the end, but we were that close to being in the championship game, and then that same team that did that to us, Florida, did it to them. So who knows what would have happened if we had moved on. So if this is the peak of the John Shire era, it was a great time for him and his agent to ask for an extension. I'm not sure it will be the peak because they're always going to have the best players, and Shire's shown that he's a pretty good coach, and obviously he's still a great recruiter. So definitely good time to get an extension for him.
I just think it's interesting to see SEC superpowers pop up that you thought were good at football, but now all of a sudden Auburn and Alabama are good at basketball.
Yeah.
And that's all due to NIL and transfer portal.
Although
and
Bruce
things.
Pearl
Nate
just
Oates.
retired.
That's right. Jordan, how does this make you feel about Utah basketball being able to rise back to power under Alex Jensen?
Pretty good. I mean, I don't think if they don't rise back to power, I don't think it's going to be because of Alex Jensen. I think it's going to be because for whatever reason they couldn't bring in the NIL money. So that's what I'm watching for.
Bring me the money.
Yeah, and Alex Jensen is the hire that will do that. If there's anybody, that's from what we've heard behind the scenes. That was the guy the boosters wanted. So we'll see. The problem is you don't have to. The amount of money you have to bring in now is so utterly absurd that to get to a Sweet 16 Final Four consistently, that I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Well, we saw news break yesterday, and I think it was Nicole Auerbach that put this out, that the Big Ten is looking into infusing a $2 billion private equity fund to get some more money going the Big Ten's way.
Yeah, Michigan, one of the members of the Board of Regents came out and says, I'm totally against this. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And it is. It's just.
Our friend Matt Brown from Extra Points broke it down and said, well, normally you get the influx of cash to grow your sport. If you don't have other ways you can grow the sport or your athletic department, you're going to find yourself in the same exact situation when you run out of all of that money in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Or less than that.
And then who's making the decisions?
And you give up the power, yeah. You give up the power to make decisions, or at least a portion of the power.
And if you don't think college conferences are making decisions in the best interest of the game in college sports now, just wait until private equity gets involved. They don't give a damn about like the health or the best thing, quote unquote best thing for the sports. It's what will make us more money.
Yeah.
I just think, this is a road you do not want to go down.
All right, that's something that came out yesterday. More baseball comes your way today, starting at 1 p.m. ABC. Tigers, Guardians. That series tied 1-1. Flaherty versus Sassoni. I don't know how to say his last name.
I'd have to, yeah.
That's who will be on the mound for Cleveland. And then you will have the Padres and the Cubs. Yu Darvish will go against Thailand at 3 p.m. on ESPN. Your nightcap will be Boston
Easy.
and New York.
Easy. What's the matchup? What's the pitcher's matchup?
Yeah, you've got the rook, Connolly Early.
Uh-huh.
He'll be going for the Boston Red Sox.
Way to get the easy one out of the way.
Cam Schlittler will be on the mound. Early versus Schlittler.
It's an early Schlittler matchup?
It is.
Okay.
In the Daily Dump.
That's right.
Brought to you by Valley
Better
Plumbing.
hit the dump button right now.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the Red Sox, Jordan, are going to rookie in this do-or-die situation. I think, obviously, this is like a Game 7 where all your arms are available in the bullpen, so maybe that's why it's probably not that big a deal to not be going with some experience here. But that is curious for me. I'm not that concerned about it because everyone's available as a Red Sox fan, but it is a curious move to go to say, hey, Rook, Yankee Stadium, biggest rivalry in the game, do or die, basically a Game 7 situation. Here you go.
Yeah, and look, Schlittler is a lefty, and who did the Yankees really struggle against in Game 1? 2 lefties, right? Crochet and Chapman. And I'm pulling up, like, in the moment, what have the Yankees hit against lefties this season? Because it sure seems like they've struggled. I'll work on that, though.
So Schlittler's the lefty or Early's the lefty?
Schlittler is did I get it backwards?
I think so. Because
Schlittler's
Schlittler's on the mound for the Yankees.
Yeah. Early's the lefty, and Yankee hitters.
Yeah. Because you said Schlittler.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
Oh, my
I
bad.
want
No.
to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yeah, Early, the Red Sox lefty.
Okay.
He'll go against the Yanks, who really struggled in Game 1 against lefties. They hit 205 in Game 1. This is just their Game 1 stats. They were 9 for 44. And they struck out 14 times against those lefties.
Sounds like the Oregon Ducks when they faced Utah Valley baseball in that. in that regional.
Good pull. You want your regular season stats, Yankees versus lefties?
Yes.
They are hitting 257, which is actually 9 points higher than against righties.
Right.
Now, obviously, they faced them a lot less, but for what it's worth.
All right, it bodes well for the Red Sox later on tonight.
I think it does a little bit, yeah.
We'll see what happens there. All right, we got to take a break. Coming up next, our friend Tom Callahan from the Locked On Mammoth podcast is going to join us. We'll talk about the NHL season right around the corner. A lot of questions going his way. Phase 1 of the Delta Center renovation is complete. Maybe we'll ask him if he calls it the Delta Center or just Delta Center. We'll see what side he's on.
Stay the hell away from
No,
that.
you don't want to ask him that question?
I don't think he's going to be happy.
Put him in a bad spot?
Do you want us to get another Mammoth guest in the next year?
Do we want an email from someone across the way?
That's exactly right.
All right, we'll leave that one alone. Tom Callahan coming your way. That's all next year on Utah's #1 sports talk, the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Welcome back into the Sean O'Connell Show. Brice and Bianuccj have taken over the Sean O'Connell Show this afternoon, actually. I'm so used to saying this morning on the radio because we're the morning drive guys that once it crosses 12, I forget that we're not in the morning anymore.
I woke up and the sun was up today. It was a miracle.
It was nice. Sleeping in a little bit.
Oh, it was incredible.
It's good. Well, you could join us 7 to 10 a.m. every single morning during the weekdays over on 103.9 and 98.3 FM. It's part of the Utah ESPN radio network. You can join us on your morning drive on Brice and Bianuccj. Right now, let's talk some Utah Mammoth hockey. We'll jump out to the ESPN 700 hotline and welcome in Tom Callahan, who's the Locked On Utah Mammoth podcast host. Tom, glad to be chatting with you once again. It's been a minute since we last had a discussion.
It has, but hockey season creeps around so quickly. Here we are again.
And we just got out of a couple of different camps. Rookie minicamp was a little while ago. Let's start there. The young players on this Mammoth roster. Do we know how much ice time we're going to see a lot of these young guys that we just saw drafted get? It normally takes a long time for them to get up there, but is there anybody that is impressed enough to maybe make their way up the organization and the chain there?
Well, we can talk about who is still in training camp, and that is generally a better indication of who might crack the lineup. Honestly, forwards have a better shot than defense as far as trying to find a spot. I feel like the defensemen, and we've pretty much seen this, it's kind of settled what the defense is going to look like with one or two battles still going on, but that's more for seeding or ranking, if you will, on the depth chart as opposed to whether or not they're going to have a job. But forwards, I think a lot of it starts with TJ Ginla. We like to talk about Ginla because he's got a famous hockey name. His dad played for years, was an excellent example of what a captain and a leader should be besides being a dominant player. So he's always a name that comes up. He will definitely still get his chance as we move forward here. But one guy I want to talk about that I think has done really, really well in camp and continues to put up some points and really impress people is Daniil But. Now, But came over from Russia, was playing in the professional league over in Russia in the KHL. So there's always a question because the ice surfaces are bigger. They're the Olympic size where they're 15 feet wider. How do those players adjust? And that is one of the biggest questions. But right now, But seems to be finding his game pretty well in North America. Like I say, he's putting some points up. He's showing some flashes of skill and some talent. And I know that GM Bill Armstrong was high on both him and Simashev, the other Russian that came over from Lokomotiv, saying these guys have a real chance to crack the lineup this year and not go to Tucson, not be in the American Hockey League. So I think that that's one of the guys that I'd keep an eye on. Now, mentioning Simashev, I do think he's worth keeping an eye on defensively. But right now, fortunately for Utah, because of all the injuries last year, I think out of paranoia, they overstocked the cupboards. Does Simashev have a chance maybe to play in the NHL? Yes, but I think for a defenseman, minutes are more important than having that NHL crest on your warm-up jacket. So I think he might be better served going to the American League and just playing a ton of minutes down there.
You mentioned overstocking the cupboards. One guy that we saw on the ice last year was Maverick Lamoureux. I did just barely see that he got assigned to Tucson with the Roadrunners. Does that mean that there's just too many bodies? It's too crowded for him? He needs more work? What's the story with Maverick Lamoureux and his story, if we'll see him this upcoming season?
Well, the reason you saw him last year, and I thought he was great when he was up, thrown into that situation at the time, he was 20, now he's 21. He's still very young. He's got a lot of time, a lot of development left to do. He filled in a pinch. At one point, Utah had 4 of their top 6 starting defensemen out last season, and that is almost an untenable situation for any team. I don't care who you are. So you end up calling players up, you throw them into roles, and you hope they get you through and they get you by. And Utah made some trades. They brought some guys in. They combed the waiver wire, but they also put Lamoureux in that spot, a homegrown product. He played very well. But when you look at him being young, and Artem Duda is another one at 21 years old, sending him down, and I mentioned Simashev, he's only 20. Defensemen, I think you would much rather have them playing in Tucson in the American Hockey League, logging 20 minutes a night as opposed to them being in and out of the lineup in the American Hockey League. It doesn't really do them any good. And so when you look at the veterans on the defense for this current Utah roster, it just makes sense. The top six are pretty much set defensively. You're going to have Sergachev, Dursey, Marino, Mata, Schmidt, and Cole. Beyond that, if they carry 7 or 8 defensemen, you've got those 7 and 8 spots that are kind of up for grabs. But I expect those are going to be filled by some veterans as well who are battling it out. I really like Scott Perunovich. Nick DeSimone did a great job last year as a waiver claim. Really liked his game. To me, those are maybe the leaders in the clubhouse right now for that. So this is not a slight on Maverick Lamoureux. Setting him down is exactly what he needs to continue to get better and one day be a full-time NHL defenseman.
Tom, the biggest news last day or so, Utah sends Connor Ingram to Edmonton. Can you just take us through that trade and why it makes sense for both sides?
I will say that the Mammoth really did Ingram a massive solid, getting him to Edmonton and supporting the player. This is a culture thing. This is not a who won this trade or any of that. This is all about Utah trying to do the right thing by the person. And I think they did a very good job of that. Now, Edmonton does need a goaltender. They struggle. They really do. Honestly, Ingram, if he can put his game back together, has a very good shot at being on that team in the spring. When I look at that move in the offseason, because of the uncertainty, because we didn't really know what Ingram would be like when he'd be back, if he'd play in the NHL, they went out and signed Bianuccj, who is a very capable 1B. He just won a Stanley Cup with Florida several seasons ago, was a starter in New Jersey, looked very good there, and then struggled a little bit, ended up in that, like I said, that backup role with Florida. Florida didn't need him to play a lot because they had Sergei Bobrovsky in front of him. I think now he has a chance to reclaim a little bit more playing time. He's got a fellow Czech goaltender to work with the net, which I think actually is a huge positive because these guys can really kind of break it down with one another and talk in their native language. Should actually make it a little bit easier. And the Mammoth made it clear they felt like they could get Bianuccj back to his New Jersey days when he was winning 30 games. And so that was their guy because they didn't know if or when Ingram would ever be ready. So that makes sense. They have a discussion with Ingram. They say, look, this is our tandem. We're going with this for the regular season. We're going to put you through waivers. Nobody claimed him. So then what happens is they end up making the deal for future considerations and sending him to Edmonton. They retain $800,000 of the salary. That gets Ingram's cap hit to a point where he doesn't have to clear waivers again. Edmonton can send him to Bakersfield, which is their AHL affiliate, and let him try to work his way back up. It really does not hurt Edmonton much at all. The $800,000 is nothing for 1 year for the Mammoth because they have the space. They can eat that up. And really what they're doing is trying to take the best care they can of Connor Ingram.
Tom Callahan from the Locked On Mammoth podcast is with us for a couple more minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Tom, since we're talking about AHL affiliates and different things, one affiliate here in the state of Utah, the Grizzlies, they are headed out. This is their final season here in the state. There's been some talk about maybe Tucson getting moved around. I thought maybe Nevada or Reno would be a spot for them. Do we know anything about potentially bringing an AHL team here to the state of Utah? Is there any news on that front?
So there has been some talk among the ownership group, and it makes a lot of sense because many teams in the American Hockey League are very close to their NHL parent clubs. It makes sense financially. A lot of your development budget gets spent on travel. So the closer your players are, maybe they're a car ride away, which also helps if somebody gets hurt in morning skate. You have that flexibility, and it's really nice. You can keep a closer eye on development. That's been the recent trend, especially for the Western teams. So, yes, it makes sense, first of all, that this is a topic of discussion. Second of all, with the Grizzlies leaving, it does leave a vacant building in the Salt Lake area, and it wouldn't be unprecedented for an AHL team to play in or near the same city. That said, the AHL is very focused on having exactly as many teams as there are NHL teams because they do not want any teams having to operate independently, but they don't want too few, so the teams have to share. So with the Roadrunners agreement here, the minimum time frame would be at the expiration of that. I think it's a year or two left on that agreement. There's every possibility the Roadrunners don't stay in Tucson. They may end up in Nevada. But I feel like what we're hearing here is that Smith Group would like to own and control their own American Hockey League team. Makes a ton of sense. That's how it was with the Coyotes. For some reason, the Roadrunners were not included in the package to buy the Coyotes when that happened. So, and I'm sure there were reasons that I'm not privy to. But eventually it makes sense to have that happen. It will only happen by one of two things. Smith Group has to buy an existing AHL franchise, or if the NHL expands, which might happen in 3, 4, 5 years, then the AHL will expand. And Smith Group could then purchase an AHL franchise. They've talked about putting it anywhere in the state, from the northern to the southern tip. It sounds like the whole thing is fair game. I think that's an excellent idea, and I think it's only a matter of time before it happens, but we're probably talking 3, 4, 5 years at least.
That's really good insight. That's good stuff to know so that we can stop asking you about it for at least a year or so.
There you go.
All right. Let's jump over to season openers. The NHL opens up on Tuesday night, but the Mammoth won't get started till next Thursday when they take on the Colorado Avalanche. I want to ask you, which matchups on day one of the NHL are you looking at in terms of exciting matchups and teams to look out for this year in the National Hockey League?
Well, I think there's a ton of questions coming into every single season outside of the Mammoth, who obviously we're going to be very focused on them. I look at a couple of different teams. I think, for me, Edmonton, which we talked about a little bit earlier there, they're a giant question mark. They have so much talent. Connor McDavid is the best player in a long time. But we're already asking the question, is he going to retire the best player never to win the Stanley Cup? So that's a big one to keep an eye on. Even within the Central Division, I think there's a lot of – this is the toughest division in hockey, in my opinion. There's a lot of questions around what are the Avalanche going to be like this year? The Wild just signed Kirill Kaprizov to the most expensive contract in hockey history. What are they going to be like this year? Spending all that money on him, you know, you're going to expect him to dominate. Dallas, they had a coaching change, so they're a very, very good team. Are they going to stay a very good team? Are they going to falter a little bit out of the gate while they figure it out? Are they going to come out strong? Who is Nashville? Nashville spent all this money in free agency a year ago and then came out and just flopped. Was that who they are now, or was that a bad year? So there's so many questions in and around this division right now, even with the Winnipeg Jets, who, you know, they won the division, won the conference, won the President's Trophy as the best team in the NHL, and then really didn't look good in the playoffs. St. Louis is another. So you could just keep going on and on. There's a lot of teams to keep an eye on, even in the West. So I think, look, Mammoth fans, if you're looking for somebody to pay attention to your own division. The Central really holds the key this year to the NHL.
All right. As far as expectations go, is it fair to expect a playoff berth this year in Utah?
We're saying playoffs are bust on Locked On. We are absolutely saying playoffs are bust. With the team that is assembled on paper, this is a playoff team. If everybody takes their expected step forward. Last year, I think the hype was a little premature. And we said that at the time. All the national people were jumping on there's a playoff team. Like, well, slow your roll. If they overachieve, to me, last year they could have been a playoff team, but they didn't. And, of course, the injuries didn't help. This year, you would expect with them being healthy, being hungry, and with development taking another step forward, yes, it is absolutely fair to expect a playoff berth for this Utah Mammoth team this year, especially because I think 5 teams from the Central can make it in. If they're not one of those 5 teams, then we have a lot bigger questions that we need to start asking.
All right, Tom, phase 1 of the Delta Center renovations have been complete. I think it's just over 12,000 that it'll seat for hockey this upcoming season. Have you gotten eyes on inside the Delta Center this year, and what do you think about the sight lines and everything and what they've improved this offseason?
You know what? I have not had a chance to get in the Delta Center yet to see the seating and the new configuration, but looking at it from the photographs and some of the schematics that I saw, it kind of reminds me of how arenas were when I was younger. They were a little bit more of a steeper build. There was more of an incline. It was more intimate. Fans felt like they were on top of the action. And to me, that was kind of the cool part of it. Is it reminded me a lot of old Maple Leaf Gardens, seeing the way the end zone seats were, because the old Gardens went very high up on the sides, lots of seats there, but in the ends, there were not a whole lot of seats. And seeing that area immediately behind the goal reminded me of kind of how steep it was and how you just felt like you were on top of the action. I think it's going to be amazing for the hockey sight lines, and fans are going to absolutely love it. I like sitting behind the net anyway because I'm an old goalie, so that's what I'm used to looking at. I think it's going to be spectacular.
I love it. I'm all in on Mammoth hockey this year. It's playoffs or bust right here on ESPN 700 as well. Tom, thank you so much for your time this morning. Appreciate you jumping on with us, and we'll talk here with you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
That is Tom Callahan. Make sure you subscribe over at the Locked On Mammoth podcast and get the latest on your Utah Mammoth as they get ready for another NHL season. It starts next Thursday, week from today, at the Colorado Avalanche, Jordan Bianuccj. All right, you're all in on some Utah hockey this year?
Oh, yeah. Playoffs or bust. I'm with Tom.
Best professional team in the state?
Yeah, is it not even close?
There's no discussion.
No.
The hated Colorado Avalanche.
That's right.
That's right.
What's a bigger
Huge
rival?
rivals.
What's the bigger rival, the Avalanche or the Vegas Golden Knights?
Oh, we hate the Avs. Hate them.
We hate the Avs.
No, it's
a lot of history between these two.
You know what's really funny though? OC is anti-Denver because he thinks that, and he makes great points. He thinks that Salt Lake and everything about Salt Lake is what people think Denver is, but it's not really. Like the mountains are not near as close to Denver as they are to Salt Lake City, and those kind of things. So he thinks that Salt Lake is just a better version of what people think Denver is. And so he's anti-Denver, anti-Colorado. So that's for him the rivalry that he wants to really make happen is the
that checks out.
Mammoth versus the Avs.
Salt Lake City is a prettier city than Denver. Denver's a bigger city, so there's more to do. But when you go to Denver, you're like, all right, guess we're in the mountains.
It is kind of far away from the actual mountains.
You're in them, so you don't realize how. And you are far away from some of it, but you don't realize how high you actually are.
It doesn't look like it.
No, it's prettier here.
Yeah. So, Avs, we're coming for you.
Also, a lot of conspiracies shrouded around that Denver airport. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh, I've heard about them. Weird stuff going on.
A lot of weird
airport.
stuff at that airport. So that's another reason to
I'll tell you why
Denver.
I hate Denver. The freaking city's 45 minutes away from the airport. Yes. Holy cow.
Yeah, there you go. And that's another thing that makes Salt Lake superior to Denver. The airport's practically
intimate.
It's minutes away from downtown.
That's right.
All right, we'll take a break here. How about this? Let's talk some college football. Big 12 coming up this weekend. We'll get you all the Big 12 action. Which games to look out for on your bye week as Utah takes a seat. Some big-time matchups around the Big 12 conference. We'll take a look at that and more college football around the entire country. That comes your way to wrap up a second hour of the Sean O'Connell Show right here on Utah's #1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Rolling through the 12 o'clock hour on the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm Brice Larson. That is Jordan Bianuccj. We're filling in today and tomorrow for Sean O'Connell. He'll be back on a Monday edition of the program. But don't worry, we've got you covered. We'll also have you covered tomorrow in the morning drive, Jordan. We're going to do what? 6.5 hours of radio tomorrow. 7 to 10 a.m. over on 103.9 and 98.3 ESPN The Fan. And then you could join us right back here on the Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2.
Listen, there will be no shortage of talk tomorrow. We have three deciding games in baseball. We have Rams-Niners. We're getting ready for a BYU-West Virginia game that I'd rather spend a little less time on.
We have not talked a cent of that.
That's the most boring. Like, what are you supposed to say?
Not a lot.
And then we got college football this weekend in the NFL. It's like, yeah, tomorrow's a packed show.
Well, not only that, we've got 3 hours in the morning, so we'll keep you up there. We have Riley Jensen on our program tomorrow. And then we've got a great lineup for you here on the Sean O'Connell Show as well. So we'll talk to a former Utah State quarterback about the upcoming weekend of college football and more. So we've got 3 hours there, 3 hours here. I've got ESPN Plus duties tomorrow. I'm on air between radio and TV, like 9 hours, Jordan.
You're gonna be delirious by the time
I'm gonna pass out on air on ESPN Plus tomorrow night.
That'll drive ratings, though. That's good stuff. Somebody passes out. That brings eyeballs.
Yeah. The last time they left me solo, the color commentator didn't show up.
That's rough for
I was
soccer.
rolling solo on soccer. All right, anyway, let's jump into college football. There is a college football matchup tonight, Sam Houston at New Mexico State. I know you're going to be tuned in for that one.
Yeah, locked in.
Me and the sickos are going to be locked in on Sam Houston and New Mexico State at 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Now, BYU and West Virginia will get underway 8:30 p.m. on Friday night. That is on ESPN live from LaVell Edwards Stadium down in Provo. Should be a rout of West Virginia once again. BYU should take care of business. We'll see. Jordan, we had a conversation about helmet communications. The other day, Kirk Herbstreit had Lane Kiffin on his podcast, and he talked about helmet communications and how much they're actually doing behind the scenes. And you'll see, I went back and watched just the first half of the BYU-Colorado game to see how often Bear Bachmeier checks at the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. It was only twice in the first half that I could tell when they had the cameras on him, and it was both times was before the play clock hit 15 seconds, which means the headset in his ear was still on when he was making the changes at the line of scrimmage. What does that tell you, Jordan?
That A-Rod's helping him out?
That Aaron Roderick is the one that's making the play change calls from the sideline before it hits 15 seconds. Anytime it turns off, they're running with the play that they have.
It makes sense because he's played pretty well for a freshman, played better than you thought for a freshman. It helps when you have the offensive coordinator in your ear. Yeah.
One thing that Lane Kiffin said on Kirk Herbstreit's podcast on Monday was that this allows young players who aren't experienced the ability to be able to do hard things, more challenging things at the quarterback position. He said not just the quarterbacks, but the linebackers as well. When you can get into their ear until there's 15 seconds left, he said as soon as they put that ball down and the play clock starts, you can talk, and you're in their ear from 40 seconds all the way down to 15 seconds, and that allows them to make those changes for a freshman quarterback that normally maybe you don't trust him to do that.
Yeah, and I guess it's better than, as long as they're not looking at the sidelines at 70 different billboards.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Sorry to cut you off. Here's the thing, though. The one check, I noticed that he went to go and check, and then you could tell that it turned off in his ear because he immediately, in the first half, turned to the sideline to get the signal from the sideline to finish where he was sending guys. That was after 15 seconds. Okay. Isn't that fascinating?
It's fascinating, but also at some point, can we let the players play the game? Like, if he's not, if a quarterback...
Coaches are doing their job, Jordan. That's what they get paid millions of dollars to do.
Oh, it's so fun. That's why I tune into college football. I want to guess what the coach is saying into the ear of the... It's like a helicopter parent, just like over them all the time. Listen, if a freshman, he's going to make mistakes, that's fine. I don't know. I'm trying to articulate why that annoys me. I want to see the players play the game. I don't need to see, a 55-year-old man in the press box telling him exactly what to do all the time. Like, it's just, come on.
Well, that happens.
I know it does. That's what happens. I'm complaining about.
That's good sleuthing by you, by the way, Brice, to pick those things up with
Thank
Bear
you.
Bachmeyer and BYU. Did you guys been keeping an eye on the text line here? We got a texter that says Utah Warriors rugby is the best professional team in the state.
No,
They finished the regular season number 1 in the MLR.
Here's the thing. I went to that playoff game, James.
Okay.
I saw what I saw at that playoff game, and they got rolled at home. So I don't know that I can jump on that bandwagon.
All right.
I spent my own money to be there too.
Not gonna lie, Jordan. I did not expect to hear real analysis for Warriors rugby.
I was
from
disappointed.
Brice there, but okay,
Oh, he's
fair enough.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with what I saw out there in Harriman.
We also had someone sounds like a delivery driver. We love our delivery drivers. Appreciate your ears. You're doing God's work out there.
Shout out.
Getting us all of our great packages and stuff. He says the rookie catcher for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He didn't give a name. The rookie catcher for the Dodgers. He's laid down. I think he meant bunts. He didn't write bunts. There's a typo there. But I think he was getting in on the bunting conversation. He said he's pretty good at laying down bunts, which is you talked about the West Coast teams are the ones that seem to be the best at it in the majors, right, Jordan?
Well, that was in college.
Oh, in college, you're talking
yeah,
in college. Okay.
Nobody can. He can bunt. It's Ben Rortvedt.
Yeah. Okay.
And
If you watch Big West baseball in college, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners do here, you will see a lot of bunting for some reason.
yeah, you want to know why he's bunting a lot, James? He's hitting 152. That's why he's bunting a lot.
You know, we got a runner on. We got a runner on. Let's have you lay one down here.
But not fair. His career though, he's batting in almost 600 at bats. 190. That's why he's bunting a lot.
See, as the baseball purist I am, this is why I'm so mad that they took away pitchers being able to hit, because those were the dudes they used to bunt.
Oh man,
Just put it in play, baby.
freaking DH. Listen, they had to change. They had to bring the DH in because the pitchers, everyone else, college, high school, they all had the DH, so these pitchers couldn't freaking hit.
Yeah.
And it was so embarrassing. But I hate the DH. You and I could manage a damn major league team with the DH. Jeez, before you had to run some double switches
Actually
out there.
Make some moves.
Yeah.
All right, somehow we got away from college football. I do want to let you know, keep an eye on the Iowa State-Cincinnati game coming up this weekend. Cincinnati went into Kansas and beat them. Just look out for that one. Number 14, Iowa State, on the road at Cincinnati in Nippert Stadium. It's a 10 a.m. kick on ESPN2. Keep your eye on
What's
that
the
one.
line on that game?
Well, thank you for putting me on the spot here.
Because I'm not keeping an eye. There's not
ESPN Bet has it -1.5 in favor of Cincinnati.
Okay, is that not shocking to
A little
anyone
surprising.
else?
They are the home team. You give them 3 points for being the home team.
It's Iowa State. Iowa State's been playing great. I'm taking that. That's good
right.
value. Holy cow.
Here's my point in saying this. I think Cincinnati's a better football team than what people are giving them credit for,
I know.
including you.
You've been on Cincinnati for 2 weeks. It's been exhausting. I'm like, I don't see it.
All I'm saying is look out at that game, okay, guys, this weekend.
No, they could do it. No,
Okay, thank you.
No,
All right.
you're right.
We'll take a break. Our good friend DeMarco Farr comes up next. He'll break down tonight's Thursday night Rams-Niners matchup. He's the sideline analyst, not reporter, analyst for the Rams. He comes your way next right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Welcome back into the Sean O'Connell Show. Proudly brought to you by Big Willie's Sports Bar in Salt Lake. Check them out at 1717 South Main Street. No Sean O'Connell today. It's Brice and Bianuccj sitting in for Sean O'Connell. He'll be back on Monday. We'll be with you here on a Friday edition of the show tomorrow as well, getting you ready for a weekend of college and National Football League football. And speaking of which, Thursday night football comes your way later on tonight. The Westwood One call on ESPN 792.1 FM. And then over on our station, mine and Jordan's station on 103.9 and 98.3 ESPN The Fan, you'll hear the home Rams call. And this man, DeMarco Farr, the sideline analyst, not a sideline reporter, the sideline analyst for the Rams. We'll welcome him in now. It's one DeMarco Farr. DeMarco, glad to have you back on and glad to talk to you again, my friend. How are things?
Oh, let me at him. It's 49er week. Cannot wait for this. This is going to be fun. Open the gate.
No doubt. And you know what? For the Rams, things before the game starts starting to look a little bit better, might I say, because the injuries are starting to pile up for the 49ers. So how you feeling with the injury situation, with the way that this game's set up tonight? How are we feeling about the Rams?
Nope, not going to work. Not buying it. It's still the San Francisco 49ers. Strange things happen in this rivalry, this division rival. It seems like the Rams do. They always catch the Niners in a period of transition, and then something bad happens for the Rams. So I know they've got a rash of injuries, but I'll tell you what they do have. They still have McCaffrey back there. They still have Trent Williams. They still have Fred Warner. They still have some weapons to hurt you. So you got to play this as if this was 3 years ago when this 49er window was wide open. They can derail a lot of your goals for this year. So this is very important for the Rams, and I thought it was really cool. After such an emotional win last week versus the Colts, where it was going back and forth. You were fortunate. You had the touchback that went in your favor. Right at the end of that game, Sean McVay gave his team the credit, the props, the game bowls and whatnot. And then right after, he said, we got San Fran next week with first place on the line. So set your minds right. So they're taking this seriously. They need to be ahead of the Niners. It's not about them being injured. It's about the Rams playing their best game tonight.
No doubt about it. And one thing that's been really impressive with this Rams team is, of course, the BYU product from just down the road from us in Bianuccj. He's been outstanding. And some say he might even be in the MVP conversation. Is that going too far? And what have you thought about Bianuccj's start to the season?
I am so glad he's being recognized, and I think it's the fantasy football era we're in. It's about yards and points and whatnot, and he doesn't score as often as some other receivers, but he is just as dangerous, from 20 to 20. So he does a lot for the offense. He's basically a receiver / tight end. They count on him to block. I mean, sometimes he's the point of attack in the run game to spring guys. So, and he's willing to do that. But then what really has set him apart this year is his route running. His hands have improved. I think Matthew Stafford trusts him. There is a level of respect there between the two. They know they have that second sense about each other. So you have a quarterback that's willing to feed him and feed that. So, yeah, I mean, I think by the numbers, I think Bianuccj will be in the running for the MVP. But as far as what he does for the football team, he's already been the MVP for this football team.
With Nacua getting so many targets, how has that affected Davante Adams and his ability to just affect that offense in a big way?
I'm not sure what affects Davante Adams. He is a special guy. He doesn't have any insecurity about who he is or his place in the offense or his place in the NFL. He's a great receiver. As a matter of fact, a lot of us on the Rams side, the broadcast side, feel it's going to be a Davante night tonight. So he's the one dude that you can't sleep on, period. If you think he might be frustrated or be a second fiddle in the offense, next thing you know, he's behind you. That touchdown pass he caught from Matthew Stafford was unbelievable, the way Stafford moved that safety with his eyes. He's been doing that all year. So as that relationship continues to develop and it gets on the same level, dare I say, like Puka, then we'll start to see some real fireworks.
DeMarco Farr, the Rams sideline analyst, is here with us for a couple more minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 792.1 FM. DeMarco, a lot of the talk in the preseason was about Matthew Stafford's back and the injury. Since then, I haven't heard a lot about it, which is a good sign. It sounds like maybe that trailer they brought in with the red light therapy and everything's working out for him. Tell us a little bit about that situation with Matthew Stafford and his health.
He's moving into Darth Vader territory, right, where you got all the equipment just to keep you alive.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. I mean, he's got a lot of miles on his belt, on his tires. He's 37 years old. He's played a lot of football, so it is to be expected that, you're going to have to take care of a guy like that. But it does come up. The back was everything in training camp. It kind of goes away with your first and second win, and now you're 3-1. But every time he one-hops one or he gets sacked or, he gets stuffed on a sneak and he gets up a little bit slow, we all kind of collectively hold our breath because, he is 37. He's had a back injury, so we don't know. But look, I don't think any quarterback in the league closes like Matthew Stafford. It's like Seabiscuit. All you need to do is get him neck and neck with the faster horse around the backstretch, and he's going to win that. So he's got a competitive fire that drives this football team. But the back hasn't been a thing until it will become a thing at some point. It's a long season.
How about the defensive side of the football? I know in the last couple of years, the Rams have invested in the defensive side of the football, guys like Jared Verse and others. How are we feeling about the defensive side, and where's the weakness in this Rams defense, if there is any?
Well, there was a subplot to last week's game. Latu, the edge rusher for Indianapolis, was out there. Now, everyone in L.A., because he's from here or played here in college, everyone wanted him. He was the first player taken in the draft, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So the Rams got Jared Verse, and if you had to redraft, you would definitely take Verse because of what you know about him and how hard he plays. But that was fun watching those two go at it. But Jared Verse, in my opinion, right now, is the most physical edge rusher the league has, and that includes Micah Parsons. It's not as, how do you say, stylistic as a Myles Garrett. Like, wow, that was a pretty move. With Jared Verse, is like, damn, did he knock the guy's teeth out? I hope that guy's okay. Did you see him run through the center from the Colts?
I did not see that.
Oh, my gosh. So they lined him up at Mike linebacker. He took a 3-yard running start and just ran right through Bortolini. And then Superman dove out to Daniel Jones. I wish Daniel Jones was mic'd up. That would have been fun to see that from his perspective. But it would have. But, I mean, he has just been a wrecking machine. He leads the defense. I think at some point he'll lead this entire football team. He's got that sort of gravity. So, and I remember talking to him before week 1, and I said, what motivates you? And he looked me in the eye right in pregame and goes, I'm out here to change lives. I'm playing for keeps. And I think he was dead serious about that. So he's been a great acquisition for this football team, and I think he's doing nothing but getting better each and every rep.
DeMarco Farr is here with us on the Sean O'Connell Show, Rams sideline analyst, getting us ready for some Thursday night football. DeMarco, if the Rams are going to beat the 49ers tonight, how are they going to do it, and what should the game plan be for Matthew Stafford and the gang?
Well, number one, defensively, you have got to stop McCaffrey. You finally stopped Saquon Barkley up in Philadelphia, and that was easier said than done. That was in his house when you didn't have benefit of crowd noise, and you stopped him. You did the same against Jonathan Taylor. You forced the game onto the quarterback's shoulders. Now, same thing this week. If you stop McCaffrey, if you take away the run game for Shanahan and the 49ers offense, I don't know where they go with the football. I'm not sure the 49ers know where they go with the football. So that's got to be job number one for the Rams and the defense. Job number 2 is keep the pressure on offensively. You have to score. You have to score touchdowns. You could put so much of a lead on them that you could take away a run game by a 2-score or a 3-score lead. Then they have to throw. And they're in your house with crowd noise. So to me, that's the game plan. First, McCaffrey. Matthew Stafford and the offense keep pace and then start to pile on and then get after the passer as best you can.
Hey, DeMarco, you were a part of those great Rams teams in the early 2000s, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about them. That year in 2000, I'm just curious, because St. Louis had been a great baseball town forever, but you guys took over that town. It was incredible. What was that like when you guys went on that run and just captured the imagination of St. Louis?
Well, okay, so I was a rookie in '94 when we left here. So I'm just walking into this. I have no idea what's going on. I'm just wide-eyed. I'm just trying to make the football team. But I remember waking up that spring after my rookie year, going into '95, turning on the TV and seeing Georgia Frontiere on TV with sparklers where it says St. Louis Rams. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we moved. So we go to St. Louis, and I just remember seeing the trucks pull in. It was just our equipment pulling in the town, and the trucks got a ticker tape parade. It's like, wow, do they know we only won 4 games last year? You know what I mean? that's stuff you do for champions. But that's how excited they were to have football back in town. So it took a while to get going. We had to let go of a coach and then hire Dick Vermeil. But once we got a hold of something as a team, that city was more than willing to just go all in on us. And the support was incredible. The Dome was by far the loudest place I have ever been. I'm talking concerts, fireworks, everything on third down in the playoffs or in the NFC Championship game trying to get to the Super Bowl. It was as loud as anything in the world. And the parade coming back home after we won it was just as loud and just as otherworldly. It was so special. It was wild. I look back on it now. It's like, wow, did all that stuff really happen? Or I'm in some sort of fever dream, but it really did. It was that special. It was that great. And, for that team, we're still together. We're still teammates, and we will be forever.
And is that same type of love for this football team kind of transitioned back to Los Angeles? Is there the fan base there in L.A. starting to attach themselves, especially after the first Super Bowl? What does it feel like now in L.A. as the team's gone back?
It's starting to grow. So I have a 10-year-old. She's in the 5th grade. And since the Rams have come back, you start to see more and more kids wearing Rams jerseys or Rams flags on game day. Before, you didn't see many, or you saw other football teams. Now you're starting to see more. Last week, I'd never seen that many L.A. fans in SoFi be that loud in that game. So it's starting to grow. Now, here's the one problem. It starts tonight because I'm curious as to how many red jerseys are going to be there tonight. So we still have to worry about getting them out first. And the only way to do that is to annihilate the 49ers. Make them feel stupid for showing up. Hey, look, why do we go to SoFi to watch our team get beat up again? You know what I mean? So if the Rams win tonight, that's 4 in a row. If you can run that to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row and make this a laugher, yeah, you'll stop them from coming, and you can fill it with your own fans. That's how you start to build momentum.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, DeMarco, thank you so much for your time here on Game Day. Good luck later on tonight, and we'll be listening.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
That is DeMarco Farr, Rams sideline analyst. You can hear him along with J.B. Long and Maurice Jones-Drew over on 103.9 and 98.3 ESPN, The Fan, our brother station with The Call. That's the home call and the home of the L.A. Rams here in the state of Utah, Jordan.
I love DeMarco. Look, I'm a diehard Niners fan. When Kurt Warner showed up and those Rams teams, it was, I cheered for the Rams. It was one of the most fun football teams I've ever seen play. Yeah. It was just incredible.
Well, and Matthew Stafford is doing some incredible things right now for the Rams, too.
He is. It's not even close to what that was.
You're right, but they play an exciting brand of NFL football.
No, they
do.
With
Puka Nacua, with Matthew Stafford, with Kyron Williams.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing about that 2000 Rams team, they were running stuff we'd never seen. Like, we had never seen teams throw the ball like that before.
Right.
It was so exciting, especially for a team like the Rams, who had been terrible for so long. But, look, as far as, building a fan base in L.A., rebuilding one, the Rams have been fantastic. Like, they've done exactly what they need to do. You win a Super Bowl, you're competitive. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no reason the Chargers need to be in Los Angeles. I thought that was a silly move.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Moving from San Diego to L.A., it kind of seemed weird to me at the time. I think it's still kind of weird.
It is weird. It's almost as if the owner just cared about money and not, a civic institution
what about
in
that
San
team
Diego.
that moved to Las Vegas?
Yeah, it was weird, too. That was odd. I wonder why. Huh.
Strange.
Really strange. Seemed like they had a lot of passionate fans in Oakland.
By the way, if there are any Rams fans out there, we want to try and gather all the Rams fans and get you all to the same bar. We're going to pick a spot. We're going to start doing Rams watch games over the weekend. So we need you to hit us up either on social media, at ESPN The Fan, at Larson Sports, at Jordan Bianuccj. You can text us in on the text-in line, 877-353-0700. We're looking for you out there, and we're going to start getting everybody together for some watch parties.
Yeah, and for all we know, there might be one already. Like, there might be a Rams bar, so we just don't know about it.
If there is, let us know.
Yeah.
877-353-0700 on the text-in line, and we'll get some NFL watch parties going over the weekend. Later on tonight, 49ers, Rams, Thursday Night Football. Jordan, give me your prediction for tonight's game between these two teams. And listen, now, one thing to note about Jordan Bianuccj, big 49ers guy.
Yeah.
So whatever is said next, know that first.
I'll be objective. Niners by 50. No. No, what is the line? Do you have the line in front of you?
Let me pull it up for you.
Because I would think Rams 3.5, 4 on the road. Or excuse me, at home.
Yeah,
maybe more.
I'm sure it's pretty close.
But no, I know DeMarco's not worried about the injuries, but I'm worried about the injuries with the Niners.
You said 3.5, 4 on the road?
Mm-hmm.
How about try 8.5 in favor of the Rams, my
yeah,
friend?
that makes
That's a big line for an NFL line. Normally you see it 1, 2, 3, or 4. Once you start getting beyond that, yeah.
I'll take the Rams by a touchdown. I just the Niners are they do. I know you have McCaffrey, but you don't have a whole lot of other guys out there right now.
Yeah, you go down the list. Robert Beal Jr. out with an ankle. Jordan Watkins, a wide receiver, out with a calf. Ricky Pearsall out with a knee, his
Huge
PCL.
Loss. Yeah.
Juwan Jennings out with an ankle.
Huge loss.
Brock Purdy out with his hurt toe.
Mm-hmm.
That poor toe.
Poor toe.
Brock Purdy
Have
not
you ever
gonna
had
be
turf
playing
toe?
because of the toe.
You ever had turf toe?
No.
Brice Larson questioning the toughness of National Football League players.
Listen. All right, if this is even the 1990s or the 2000s, you think turf toe's keeping a guy out from playing a National Football League game?
Yeah, sometimes. If he can't walk on it.
You can't walk on it. But I'm just curious how, I don't know. I'd like to know, how bad does it really hurt? I am questioning it a little bit.
Somebody get a hammer, and let's see. Let's find out.
I'm going to break my toe.
Take your shoe off. Let's see how
We're
bad it
talking
hurts.
about turf toe here.
I think it hurts. Here's the thing. You know how I know it hurts? Brock Purdy played through cracked ribs at Seattle a couple of years ago. So the turf toe must hurt pretty damn bad. I'm not questioning.
Is toe going to fall off if he goes out there and plays?
Listen, my general rule is don't question the toughness of National Football League players. That's my general rule.
Is it your general
That's
rule?
my general rule.
All right. Well, that's yours. Thank you for sharing. All right. We'll take a break here. More Major League Baseball playoffs. I got more college football coming your way next, too, because I didn't get out all the things that I need to purge from my system on a college football weekend just yet. A lot of college football news and notes coming your way. That's up next in a big college football weekend, especially around the Big 12. We'll let you know the rest of the matchups to watch out for and look out for this weekend in the Big 12 Conference on your Utah bye week. We'll take a break. That's all yours next here on the Sean O'Connell Show, the 1 o'clock hour right here on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Tigers and Guardians underway over on ABC, an elimination game. Game number 3 in Cleveland. Top of the second inning, 1 out currently. Still
Tigers.
no score. Go Tigers.
We have that. That soundbite is in there somewhere, James.
Oh, I yeah,
The
okay.
next
I did
coach.
a live
I know.
impression drop.
In my opinion, the next head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys should be one Ed Orgeron.
Would he bring in?
Do they have enough money?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Probably not.
What do you think
in terms of NIL money?
What do you think? I hadn't even thought of it. Coach O for one of these openings because it seems like he's been in obscurity for a while.
I don't even know if he wants to come back to coaching. Who knows?
But he was the interim coach at USC, maybe UCLA.
Maybe UCLA. Maybe
I don't know.
if Florida decides to fire Billy Napier, it might be a spot for him to step in. Florida's not a bad job. Go Gators.
We haven't asked James. I'll ask you this: does UCLA have a shot at Deion Sanders?
They probably do because it's the Big Ten and because it's the LA market.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's leaving Colorado after crazier things have happened with guys sign long extensions and then the next year they're gone. But it just feels like he wants to be there. Trevor Riley, who was on his staff, who's now a weekly guest of ours here on the Sean O'Connell Show and with the Drive with Spence Checketts, he has said Deion doesn't want to go anywhere. Now, I don't know when the last time Trevor has been in Boulder a couple weeks during the season, so maybe he's talked to Deion recently. But I don't know if when's the last time he actually talked to him about that. He didn't say, I just talked to him, he is not going anywhere. But I think it does bear some weight, a guy who was just on his staff at both Jackson State and Colorado, saying, Deion wants to be in Boulder for the foreseeable future. Now, the foreseeable future could be if they have an awful season this year, the rest of this year, though, guys, the foreseeable future could be the rest of this year. Yeah. So, that's how things go in this market. But I'm inclined to believe that he probably is going to pass on the UCLA job, and maybe he takes a different big opening that comes up. And I don't think Oklahoma State or Virginia Tech or what's the other one that opened up? Anyway, I don't think any of the rest of them are enticing enough for him to leave Boulder.
Yeah, he's waiting. Well, he's waiting for Florida State.
Yeah,
right?
Florida State, maybe even Miami because same area and a lot of guys when they can't get on at their alma maters, they love the idea of I'm going to coach the rival and we're going to kick your ass. So
is
Kyle
he waiting
Whittingham.
for Florida
So.
State?
Well, he played.
Did they not have the chance to hire him the first time around and they went a different way?
Yeah,
didn't that coaching change happen while he was at Jackson State, and then he went to Colorado in that same cycle?
Yeah, they chose Norvell. I don't know if he actually interviewed at Florida State.
Yeah.
He may or may not have. But he was linked to that job in the media, and they went with Norvell instead.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's waiting for Florida to open.
Yeah, I could see him at Florida, too. That's
go.
probably opening soon. Yeah, man, this is killing me. What was the fourth? It was Arkansas.
Arkansas. Right. Sam Pittman got fired at Arkansas.
That's SEC. That might be a little bit more enticing than Oklahoma
Petrino,
State,
huh?
but yeah.
Yeah. I'd still.
Petrino standing in for Sam Pittman in Arkansas now.
You have a better chance to win at Colorado than you do at Arkansas.
Hey, there's a lot of.
I think you do.
Hey,
You probably do.
Isn't Walmart backing them? The owners of Walmart, big Arkansas people. They've got the Walmart logo on their field.
Jerry Jones is an alum.
They're also the owners of the Broncos too, so they got a lot of money.
You would think.
I think Arkansas is sneaky, under the radar. You get a young coach in there that can connect to kids, and they got the NIL money from their backing. So
Yeah, OC and I were joking about this. I brought up you get the Clinton money in there too, because Bill Clinton was at Arkansas games throughout his presidency in the 90s, the Nolan Richardson era basketball. So Jerry Jones played there. Jimmy Johnson, I think, played there with Jerry Jones. Yeah. So they've got very high-profile alum with lots of money if they could tap into that.
And a very passionate fan base with no NFL team in that state.
Oh, it's an incredibly passionate fan base for having a terrible team that's never in contention for anything, it seems like.
It's been a minute since they have been. Since Petrino, I think, took over and they got in trouble that year.
Yeah.
For crashing his motorcycle, and then everything came out.
Yeah, it's a problem. Wasn't someone else on the motorcycle with him?
Yeah, there was someone else on the motorcycle
that's an
with him.
So
hey, he's back, though.
There may have been a Coldplay concert incident. Oh, wait, sorry.
No, exactly.
That's exactly.
Two different
That's
things.
exactly what was going on. Speaking of college football, upcoming this weekend, I told you Iowa State's on the road at Cincinnati. Look out for that one. Cincinnati's a 1.5-point favorite in that game against the 14th-ranked Cyclones. Listen, Campbell prepares his teams like on any other coach in college football. If you go back to Big 12 Media Days, I say this a lot on our program. I'll repeat it for the listeners who don't know our conversations, Jordan. Our friend John Kurtz from Open for Business, it's a Big 12 newsletter, at Big 12 Media Day, asked a slew of different Big 12 players who the toughest team in the Big 12 is to prepare for. The overwhelming majority of them said Iowa State and Matt Campbell. The way that he prepares his teams, the way that he sets up his schemes, the way that they do things at Iowa State makes it really hard to win football games against them. I'm not worried that Iowa State's not going to be prepared. I think Cincinnati's just a better football team than what people have given them credit.
And they're a 1.5-point favorite
At home.
I'm just not buying it. I may very well be totally wrong, but I could see Iowa State being a 4.5. Like even if Iowa State were a 4.5-point favorite on the road, I'd be like, man, I think it's closer to 5, 6. Cincinnati's the favorite. Like, wow.
That's a 10 a.m. start on ESPN2. It's a game to look out for this weekend, in my opinion, in Big 12 play.
Who would you take in that right now?
Who would I take in that right now?
You could save it because we make our picks tomorrow.
We will make our picks tomorrow on Brice and Bianuccj from 7 to 10 a.m. on 103.9 and 98.3 FM. But
what does Vegas know?
Man, that seriously is such a coin flip game. And to be honest with you, Iowa State could go in there and obviously win the football game because I think Matt Campbell's such a great coach. I just think that Cincinnati is going to give him a hard time.
Sure, but you think Iowa State's the best team in the conference.
One of the best two teams.
Oh, now you're backing down.
I'm not backing down. I said 1A, 1B the last time we talked about this. I said Texas Tech and Iowa State are 1A and 1B.
I know, 1A and 1B. 1B can't go in there as a favorite?
You're right.
That just surprises me.
Well, and that's how much people don't respect Cincinnati.
Well,
Vegas has to respect them, or else they're going to lose their arses off of money coming in on Iowa State, and then Cincinnati beats them.
I'm just wondering, guys, and maybe Brice, you're plugged into the gambling world a lot more than Jordan and I are because you like to dabble. But what are people like Jordan and I missing because I think it's crazy that Iowa State's not a favorite in this game too. Like, obviously you get 2.5 points for home field. So if this were a neutral site, Iowa State's favored by a point, right? But that still seems very tame.
Yeah. So
what are some things that your theories of what we might be missing when we see a line like that and go, what the heck?
Brennan Sorsby so far this season has thrown 74 completions out of 107, 10 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Okay.
So I think people are sleeping on the offensive scoring power of Cincinnati against good teams, not against just terrible teams on the season. I mean, they went into Kansas last week and won. And I think people sleep on Kansas a little bit because of name value. I think that's a very good win against a Kansas team on the road. If it comes at home, you don't give them as much credit for winning that football game. They scored a lot of points against Kansas last week on the road and won that football game. Sorsby's a better quarterback than what people think. And Cincinnati's defensive line is sneaky good. The guys that they have on that defensive line are athletic and can stop the run, and I think that's why that matchup between the Cincinnati defensive line and Iowa State's offensive line and run game is going to make the difference in this football game coming up on Saturday.
It is interesting to note that Iowa State opened as a 3.5 favorite.
And the money has rolled in on Cincinnati.
Yeah. So that makes more sense to me now. Because Cincinnati, it's not like they've played great teams. I know you like Kansas, but Kansas isn't phenomenal. And then their only other good win is good in quotation marks, Nebraska. Or no, they lost to Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska, I was going to say they were competitive against Nebraska, who's, just
they lost by
they're
a field goal.
decent, right?
Yeah.
They're solid, not great.
So that'll be fast. Okay, I'll watch it because I just don't.
So they're 1-1 in the Kansas City area. Is that what we're saying? But competitive in both.
Right?
Competitive
in both. All right, Kansas State's on the road at Baylor this weekend. That's a 10 a.m. start on ESPN Plus. Baylor is a 6.5-point favorite in that game. Oklahoma State will take on Arizona 1 p.m. That's a start in Tucson. Arizona's 20.5-point favorite there. I don't think that's going to be very competitive at all. Texas Tech on the road at Houston, though. Another one to look out for. Yes, Texas Tech is 11.5-point favorites. Houston has played better, but I was disappointed with their showing against Oregon State and their head coach icing their own kicker in overtime with a timeout as he ran out there to go and kick the game-winning field goal.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
He turned and looked at the sideline and said, "What the hell are you doing?" That's what the kicker did. Can you imagine being asked by your kicker, your college kicker? He turns to the sidelines and goes, "What the hell are you doing, coach?"
He heard our conversation and went, "Guys, have you not heard the people talking about? We're not very good at kicking anyway. Come on now."
The poor kid.
I'm scared to death out here, and now I'm just sitting around.
Oregon State had no timeouts left in overtime. There's no way they could have iced him, and Houston takes a timeout.
Houston's head coach was. No, I want him to think about it a little more. I want him to really lock in.
We're talking about a game where multiple kicks had been blocked already.
Yeah, we're icing. That's what he's doing. He's icing the field goal block.
That's right.
That's what he's doing. He's like, maybe we won't line up the way you think we will.
So before that game, Jordan, I was sitting there thinking about Houston in the Big 12, and I was like, okay, Houston's they might be a sneaky good team too. And then I watched them play a bad Oregon State team on the road on the West Coast late at night last Friday, and I was like, okay, maybe this team's not as good as I thought they were.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have my top 4 or 5 teams, and then the rest of the Big 12 is either an enigma or they're terrible. That's my take on this conference right now.
Yeah, right. You look at Houston's games that they've played. They've played against a Colorado team that we know is okay, 36-20 win there. Barely squeaked by Oregon State on the road, 27-24. Rice, they beat 35-9. And Stephen F. Austin, 27-0. So not a lot of great opportunities to know about Houston. We'll see what they look like against Texas Tech. I would assume Texas Tech wins by 2 or more scores. But you never know. Houston could be a team that might be surprising to you.
And Texas Tech's quarterback, I believe, was cleared to play this week as well.
Okay.
Their starter, who went out against Utah.
Yeah, Baron Morton is back, and
they named him the starter.
Yeah,
there's no quarterback controversy.
None.
Yeah, Baron Morton's back, and I have, from what I've gathered, he's like as good as Hammond played. There's as long as Morton can play, that's who they're going with. And then they feel really good that they've got a guy like Hammond waiting in the wings if Morton, heaven forbid, goes down again. And yeah, so they see it as a luxury. It's almost like Jim Harbaugh with your Niners when they moved to Kaepernick and people were like, and he was like, what's the controversy? We have 2 good quarterbacks, Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. That's what you want. Feels like that's what they got in Texas Tech.
Yeah, well, the controversy is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any quarterback.
Yeah, that's a nice way. That's coach speak.
That's the controversy. So Texas Tech will take on Houston, as I mentioned, as an 11.5-point favorite on the road at Houston. Colorado on the road at TCU, 5:30 p.m. start on Fox. TCU is a 13.5-point favorite over Colorado. That shows you what they think about TCU, what Vegas thinks about TCU versus what they thought about BYU last week. BYU was a 6.5-point favorite, and TCU at home is a 13.5-point favorite. So maybe similar. Because, maybe not so quite. Maybe about 4.5 points more in favor of TCU than what they were giving BYU last week. So that shows you the athletes that TCU has and what they think they have there. Kansas is on the road at UCF, 5:30 p.m. start on ESPN2. And Kansas is just a 5.5-point favorite over UCF there. So that's your Big 12 slate this weekend. We already mentioned BYU taking on West Virginia. Don't expect much of a game down in Provo on Friday night.
No, 20.5-point line.
currently sits at 18.5. These are all according to ESPN bets. So there's probably some other lines out there that say that.
I'm going to go to that game. The real question is over or under halftime. Am I leaving or not?
Are you out of the stadium?
Taking the under. I probably am.
Taking the under. Over under first quarter.
And BYU fans hope that is the case, because if it's not the case, the injuries are starting to pile up down there, number one, and they need time to let those guys get healthy. And number two, you don't want to have any sort of questions going into Arizona on the road next week if you're BYU, I think.
I'll be the only person in the stadium hoping it's a close game. I just want to be entered. I just want a good football game.
Yeah. So I mentioned I'm on soccer duty tomorrow night for Utah Valley, so I'm not going to be able to watch the majority of the game live.
That's a bummer.
Can you do something for me?
It depends.
Will you pay attention to the play clock?
The play clock.
And checks at the line of scrimmage before 15 seconds versus after 15 seconds?
Yeah.
Just keep track.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
For the first half.
For the first half.
I just want for the first half, because after that you'd think Bachmeier's going to be out of the game.
Yeah, I'll try.
Also, Jordan might be out of the game
next week.
Yeah, I may be.
You might be asleep anyway.
I was going to say, Jordan, you want to be entertained, regardless of the score. Just keep your eyes on Rich Rod.
Yeah, that's true.
The fiery Rich Rod that we've always known and loved was on full display in the game against Utah. They're down 41-7, and he's like, "Come on!"
They're on.
I think I broke my headphone.
So did Rich Rod.
Listen, it's bad in West Virginia. Things are bad right now for the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
And you talk about they're down to 4th, 5th, 6th string guys. So it's just you're not expecting them to be competitive in any sense of the matter. They've got 2 quarterbacks listed as out, 2 of the 3 that have played so far. It's like they're down to their 1 quarterback that they're just going to throw out there. Like, it's not going to be pretty.
No.
And nor should it.
No. I'm just bummed. I just want a good.
I know you want good college football.
Exactly. I just want a good game.
Almost heaven.
That comes your way.
Not this team.
That comes your way tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. on ESPN.
Over under how many jars of moonshine will West Virginia fans be putting down the gullet by halftime?
How many West Virginia fans made the trip out to Utah is my question.
Not many.
Those are the ones that are dedicated.
No kidding. Wow.
Those are the dedicated ones. All right, we'll take our final break of the Sean O'Connell Show, and we'll wrap it up coming up around the corner. We'll give you an update on the Tigers and Guardians playoff game that's going on at this moment. We'll talk about some other Major League Baseball playoff games. And maybe we're going to have Spence Checketts pop in for some crosstalk here.
He is here for his show today. He is not on remote, so we should see Spence for a little bit of crosstalk.
Maybe we'll have a little chat with him.
We'll just hand it off to him. You know, he the time he shows up is not quite consistent every day, so we'll play that by ear as we always do.
We'll go on a search for when Spence Checketts throughout the building, see where he's at.
Hey, get him in here.
That all comes your way next, right here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. Okay, getting ready to wrap up a Thursday, October the 2nd edition of the Sean O'Connell Show. We appreciate you being along for us for the ride here this afternoon. You can catch us tomorrow. It's a marathon day for me and Jordan. 3 hours from 7 to 10 a.m. tomorrow over on our brother station, 103.9 and 98.3 FM. And then we're back here with the Sean O'Connell Show, 3 more hours. So 6 full hours of radio tomorrow. You ready? Your voice ready for it?
It is. Talking sports is hard work, and I'm getting ready to clock in.
Can't complain too much,
Yeah.
right? All right. Right now, we'll welcome in the one and only Spence Checketts. You'll hear him coming up on the drive. Spence, glad to have you back.
I got to ask you guys a question right off the top. How's my guy Kyle Beckerman? How's my guy KB5?
He's doing great things down there at Utah Valley. Has his team in the top 25 this year, and they've only conceded 1 goal so far.
So have you guys had a chance to get to know him at all?
Not too
interview
much.
him a little bit?
No.
He's just like made for this role. He's one of those guys, and it's always interesting to consider what players make great coaches. It very rarely is like the best players, right?
Yeah.
It's very rarely like, I remember Magic Johnson tried to coach the Lakers and lasted 9 games. And they interviewed him and said, "Why'd you quit?" He said, "Because none of them play like me." And we're like, yeah, I know, Magic. You're a top 5 player of all time. So, the Jeff Van Gundy's, the Phil Jacksons, the Steve Kerrs, and Kyle was never the most talented guy. But every day at training, he was going to outwork you. Every day, every game, he was going to log the most. Like, they have this tracking thing in soccer where they just track how long you run, how far you run. Kyle, every game, superseded everybody. So I was actually kind of hoping that after he retired, RSL would keep him in the fold.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long Pablo wants to coach, and coaches are hired to be fired anyway. But I have this grand vision of Kyle coaching RSL at some point, not to diminish what he's doing down at UVU, because I know he's all in. But I'd be interested to kind of dig in to get some details about how he's building that thing up, because I knew he'd be dynamite for this.
Oh, he's done a phenomenal job already. They just barely opened up a $30 million new stadium,
Awesome.
UCCU stadium. And from his own words, he said it's better than some of the MLS places that he's been in terms of the locker room, in terms of the things. Like, if you haven't been down there, you've got to get down there and watch a game.
Well, and the other thing about it's interesting you bring up the facilities. The other thing about Kyle is he always mandated the best of everybody around him. He always demanded the best of his teammates. It's what made him a great leader. And he would point out little details like, the way they studied film,
Yeah.
or the way the locker room was set up, or the way the social media manager of the team was tweeting about RSL. Like, he's so hyper-focused on details that just a role like this is perfectly suited for him. And UVU, to me, is like this, sleeping giant.
Yeah.
When it comes to the future of that program. My son went there. He wanted to live in Utah County without the BYU experience. So he did the UVU thing, had a great experience. And I feel like, just the size of the school, and the longer you can, last and grow, more alums will care about the school they came from, and they'll invest, the way that some of the BYU bros have invested in BYU. So,
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in on my guy. Glad he's doing well.
Well, Kyle's doing a great job.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
What I was going to say is shift over to the basketball conversation. Todd Phillips, who used to be at Salt Lake Community College, won a couple national championships, doing a phenomenal job there. And if you take a look at the rankings going into this year, and you compare it to the new Pac-12, now the Pac-12s, they're not going to play basketball this year, but they will in the following year, where Utah Valley would step in terms of the Evan Bianuccj rankings, they're at 114th. That's good enough for 6th in that new Pac-12 conference.
Wow. Yeah.
With Gonzaga, with Utah State, with San Diego State, with good basketball teams, they'd be a top 6 team in that conference. That's saying something that people don't really realize here.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just to the Beckerman thing, that was one of my questions was, when he was hired, does he want to do the stuff that college coaches have to do, which is talk to donors, all that stuff? And it sounds like, no, he's really good at that stuff.
Kyle will give you everything he has with whatever he's doing. I mean, that's the thing about Kyle. And it goes back to who he was as a player. And I can remember the first, because when we traded for Kyle, we sucked. We were so bad. The team was awful. And what we lacked was really professionalism. And what we lacked was, certainly talent, but I remember watching the first training, and I'm like, okay, this is the guy. And, of course, there were other players that Jason acquired at the time, Javier Morales, we could go down the list. But Kyle's leadership, back to demanding the best from everybody around him, I just knew at some point, man, if that guy wants to coach, he's going to be dynamite. So
Yeah.
we'll see what the future of UVU athletics is as a whole. I feel like, again, a sleeping giant in our state.
Well, I think it does say a lot that the big programs in the state will no longer schedule UVU in basketball. I think that says a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've proven they went into the Marriott Center a few years back and won, right?
They've won 3 out of the last 6.
Was
2 out
that
of the
when
last
Mark
5.
was the coach? Or
So Pope won one, and then Madsen won.
I guess they're both Mark. Yeah,
the
that's
next
right.
one, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
they've been competitive.
I don't know how many teams are going to go to the Marriott Center and win this year.
That's true.
Yeah, well,
Which tells you that if there's any time that they're going to schedule UVU, this probably should be the year with their most talented, and they still don't want to do it.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled that whatever process led Alex Jensen to Utah actually bred that result. But what Kevin's built down there on the backs of powerful donors. I mean, people don't want to say it out loud. This is a Ryan Smith, Danny Ainge pet project. This is a passion project.
Yeah.
This is their side hustle. And without those two, Kevin doesn't take the job. But with the funds they've been able to raise, yes, the money they're paying their players. Sorry. It's so weird to me. People don't want to say it out loud. It's part of the deal, man. And it's not against the rules. You're not circumventing anything. So congratulations.
You should be proud of it.
High five.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to preach about your culture, and that's why A.J. DeBan said, look, okay, yeah, he went on your podcast and said he likes Provo. He also likes his paycheck, okay? He also likes his bank account. But all of that is to say is we are potentially about to see the best college basketball team we've ever seen in the state in Provo.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how talented this kid is. The Rob Wright kid is really good. They get Richie back. They're 7-8 deep. They probably have 3-4 pros. And if you want to win a national championship in college basketball, you got to have 3 or 4 pros. I mean, Rick did when they went to the championship game with Andre and Britt and Doliak and obviously Van Horn before that. And this is probably the first team we've had since maybe those Majerus teams that has 3 or 4 legitimate NBA guys. So if you're a college basketball fan, as horrible as it is to drive to Provo and drive back, you might want to schedule some trips to the Marriott Center this year.
No doubt. One more plug for my guys down at UVU. For all the Jazz fans that are out there, then I have one more question to ask you before we get out of here.
Yeah.
All the Jazz fans, Taylor Hendricks' brother, Tyler, signed with UVU
That's
in
right.
the offseason.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for you to go and watch Utah Valley basketball right
Is
there.
he built like Taylor? I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Okay.
One of the better shooters on that UCF roster, just didn't get a lot of time at
Okay.
UCF. So
Yeah.
here's his opportunity to get out on the court, shoot the basketball. I think
Very
he's going
cool.
to be great. He's going to be the guy
Good stuff.
for UVU. Final thing, Red Sox-Yankees tonight, elimination game. How we feeling?
Well, 2 young arms, and game 1 was Yankee mistakes. Game 2 was Red Sox mistakes. The Red Sox loaded the bases, popped out. Dude, with this rivalry, you just never know.
Never know.
And I'm just hoping it's close. Obviously, I hope the Yankees win. But, yeah, I mean, I feel good that they're at Yankee Stadium. They didn't overthink the analytics. They played Jazz. They played Ben. Ben hit a 2-run home run. Jazz scored the game-winning run, saved a run, too. But this is like the only way I can describe it is locally the way a Utah fan or a BYU fan feels during game week. When Yankees-Red Sox play, it's like the only game left where the fan in me is still alive.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been doing this long enough by now to know the fan side of you has to be a little bit agnostic if you're going to crack a microphone and talk for hours about sports. So people ask me all the time, like, who do you cheer for locally? I say, everyone. I want everyone to win because it's better for my business, period.
Right.
And that includes every single school, every single team. I want everybody to win every single game. But this is kind of like the childhood Yankee fan. I grew up with the core 4 in the 90s with Mo and Jeter and Pettit and those guys. And so it's still like alive in me. So I'm kind of glad that it doesn't start until the show's over so I can go home and watch it. It'll be fun tonight.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. All right, Spence, thanks for jumping on with us.
Good to see you, boys.
Good luck with your show later on. And we appreciate you, the listener, for joining us throughout the Sean O'Connell Show here this afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow. Just a reminder, we're doing 6 full hours of radio. You can find us in the morning on 103.9 and 98.3 FM. Then we'll be back here on the Sean O'Connell Show to wrap you up on a bye week for Utah. And, of course, a big NFL weekend. We've got a lot left for you on tomorrow's program as well. For now, we'll pass it on to Spence Checketts and The Drive. That's all coming up next here on ESPN 700 and 92.